freshman and sophomore, I remember having a light jacket on in the morning to catch the school bus, and then it was wrapped around your waist or stuffed someplace in the afternoon because it was cool enough to wear a little jacket in the morning. Not anymore though.
No, I know, and I
Yeah.
will say though the cold front is supposed to come through this week here. And when I say that, I mean a lukewarm front is probably a better way to describe it. But people are looking forward to a little bit more oxygen to breathe. It looks like it's going to be a little bit drier, and so people whip out their sweaters. There are people, I kid you not, who the moment it even gets to be like 65, they're like bundled up.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
think it's from a
yeah.
fashion standpoint. I
Yeah.
finally get to wear this thing I bought. We had a great show today, but we can't avoid talking about it. And I wanted to kind of get your take on the whole Cracker Barrel thing.
Oh, yeah.
And you had some interesting thoughts about it. I've got some thoughts too, but I'd love to hear yours.
Oh, okay. And I'll make this as quick as I can. Take a look at what is happening to our language in terms of what we are thumbing out on our phones now. We have abbreviated pretty much everything we can abbreviate. And we come up with LMA, LMAO, OMW. So we have all of these three-letter codes. It's worse than the CB radio, right? And then the U, the letter U for the word YOU, and all of that stuff. We are abbreviating our language. And I think that the Cracker Barrel logo is a reflection of that. They have just abbreviated it. First of all, who's that old guy? I didn't know. He's got a name, by the way, evidently. I didn't know what he was.
I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah,
I didn't know
they-
what his name
I
was.
saw a
Is it
story
Grandpa? It's like old Grandpa or something?
Some way Ralph or something. I don't know. But at any rate, I saw this story. Maybe they were just making up a name, too, for that. I never heard him referred to. And he's got the Cracker Barrel there, which is a emblem of porch culture in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and then it kind of fades away in the 60s. Whereby when in Mississippi in the 50s, you'd see old guys sitting on the porch talking, and they were drinking stuff out of paper bags. I always wonder, how does that bag
Or
hold that?
mason jars.
Yeah, yeah.
In a paper bag.
Yeah, in a paper bag. But that porch culture, and the Cracker Barrel used to have crackers in it, saltines. And you buy crackers out of the barrel, and people used to hang around the Cracker Barrel.
And just sit there and just kind of never been to a Cracker Barrel. Paranormal Pie Man says that the whole controversy is bonkers. It's a sign. Well, that is one take on it. I will say, you talk about the idea of LOL and LMA. LMOA.
Yeah, you can see it.
LMAO.
You can't say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
you can't
all
say
visual
it. All
now.
that stuff. But what's interesting about it to me, though, is that you went and you shortened the name. Okay, I got that. Or you made it clean, but you got rid of the emoji? I mean, that's it. The old man's the emoji.
Yeah, he is the original emoji.
Now that would have been something hip if they'd
Old school emoji.
if they'd had if they had an emoji of an old face and an emoji of a barrel and then CB. That might have been interesting.
That might have been interesting. Yeah.
Because then they're saying we're not rejecting what was old. We are simply incorporating into what is new.
That's why you should be making the big bucks.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this is really funny. I get why they did it, and I don't agree. And not for the reasons that other people are agreeing. I'm not sure if they went woke. I'm not sure. I don't know all the particulars behind it. I do know, I think they made a miscalculation this way. You and I were talking about, people say, well, my audience is dying. That's something you hear a lot in community theater.
Mm-hmm.
People who do all these bad musicals and all these geezers in golf pants and people who fart brisk brunch on cue. They all show up and they fall asleep halfway through the show. And people say, well, that audience is going to be dead. Well, I had a friend of mine who said, no, it's not. It's just going to get replaced. Because at some point, more old people show up. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, well, those old people are gone, and now we need some new old people.
And they want to do old people stuff.
And they want to do old people stuff. And, and they want to take their grandkids to Cracker Barrel, who will go to Cracker Barrel with their grandparents, not go for a long time. Then they'll get old, and they'll go to Cracker Barrel. If they were going to do it, Dave, they should have done the thing that you talk about all the time, which was the lobster boil. They should have slowly done that. Mm-hmm. They should have just slowly transformed themselves. If they really saw a problem with losing a young customer, they should have slowly gotten there. That would have made, I don't know. It just, I think the speed at which they did it is the disruption of it. I think is what caused it. And I think in the environment that we're in, anytime you change anything that brings anybody comfort, you're going to ask for some sort of pushback, whether you intended it or not. Whether the message was, hey, we don't go with old guys sitting on barrels anymore, which I don't really understand.
Yeah.
I get it, but it just seemed, like I said, and you know me, I'm a guy who likes to break things, let's reinvent the wheel, all that kind of stuff. But it just seemed like, wasn't there a way you could attract new people without, you can't have a new show until you make sure the people that already have come with you are taken care of. Make sense?
Yeah,
I mean, the idea,
yeah,
you can't build a new audience if you don't have an audience to build on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. You can't just get rid of your old customers and expect the new ones to show up. You got to figure out a way to kind of split the difference. And I don't think they did. Bruce Almighty says, I'm headed to the gym, give some blood, clean the pool. Okay.
No, wait a minute. That's one hell of a gym.
But going to make some pancakes for my daughter first. Save Cracker Jack. Cracker Jack is his name. There you go.
Yeah.
The old guy's name is Cracker Jack.
Okay.
Oh, I like that a lot, man.
Yeah,
That's
Cracker
groovy.
Jack.
Thank you, Bruce Almighty. Dave, let me give you a chance to kind of pull up your notes. Who is actually dropping in on us today? We got some great, once again, Nemo Nation is fast and furious, and a lot of folks out there want to join Mr. Nemo in a conversation. What's going on?
The lady who directs the editorial content for Landline Magazine, From Lug Nuts to Legislation, is going to be with us.
That must be Jamie Jones.
Jamie Jones is going to join us at 8 o'clock. Rick Gobble follows her at 8:10. We're going to get a take on the
That's not
secretary.
copyright, Trey, by the way. We could always find that goblin sound.
Got it.
All right, go ahead.
We can talk about. I looked, and I don't remember in my 50-plus year history here in trucking radio, I don't remember the State Department ever directly engaging the trucking industry with this CDL thing. So that's very interesting.
Well, yeah, and
So-
it's because of those visas, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. But they went. In other words, they didn't do the regular thing. Well, that's the Department of Transportation. Let's tell them to do this, and then the FMCSA will take 3 years to make a rule, and on and on. So they just cut to the chase on this one. It was pretty interesting. But there's one thing about that crash that I don't remember anybody mentioning. And that is, it's not the first time a U-turn was the cause of a controversial wreck. Do you remember in 2016, in a hot summer day with bright sun, a guy making an illegal U-turn with a tractor trailer? The trailer was white. The Tesla couldn't see the trailer and ran right into it.
I do remember that.
U-turn. In other words, there's more to this than immigration and visas and all of that.
Oh, yeah. And
This
Dean,
is a-
that's why we had Dean
Yeah.
on. It's why we had Andy on.
Yes.
There's more to this than that. I mean, this could have been stopped a whole bunch of places.
A whole
That's
bunch
the other
of
thing.
places.
I wanted to give you something from the Paranormal Pie Man. Cracker Barrel is like when McDonald's went from colorful restaurants to corporate gray boxes. Funny you should mention that. What were you
Yes,
talking about
because
this morning,
I
Dave?
just saw a story about that, and they have a picture of the old McDonald's with the playgrounds and all of that and the red roof and everything. And it says, McDonald's used to be a fun place for kids, and now it's all gray because we want our children to get used to the gray tones of the modern office building. Yeah.
You, laddie, you can't have your meat if you don't eat any pudding. We don't need no education. By the way, that whole video is about that, by the way. Remember that?
Mhm.
I mean, which really, by the way, that music video,
I haven't seen that video in
it's,
yikes.
here's what's crazy about that video.
Is
That
that
video,
on film or
yeah,
video?
yeah, here's the thing is that video isn't a video. That video is a clip from the movie. They just
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
show, but it's so cool. They would play it on MTV,
Mm-hmm.
and people forget there's a lot of the early videos on MTV that are just simply, we'll lift it from the movie and put it right in there. Okay, so after we got about a minute, we'll come back, talk about the rest of the guests on the other side.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, we got Truckin' Ray. Tell us about Truckin' Ray.
Trucking Ray will be on here too. He is. He's gonna. I just heard of his podcast with Kim Hines with Pro Drivers.
Really good,
And
isn't it?
yes, and he kind of wants to talk about some of the stuff she was talking about. Special Olympics convoy in Minnesota coming up next month, and then of course the the National Truck Driving Championships, which just ended this weekend up in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I'm really excited
We're
about
getting
that.
debriefing on that from Truck and Ray.
I'm really, really excited about that. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here, by the way. I know we have a national day of. I will do the, when we come back on the other side of Pastor John, I will do the little clever intro for our sponsors, and then you would tell us what national day it is.
I will indeed.
You have a good one, and I have a really bad joke in reference to it as well. So we'll take a deep breath. You and I, let's do it together.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rocked away, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's wake up and get our day started with a cup of Java with Pastor John, brought to you by the Bennett family of companies.
It's Monday, 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 Monday. Hey. Hope you're up and at 'em. I hope you're out on the road making progress, and I hope that you're enjoying this beautiful day that the Lord has made, and we should rejoice and be glad in it. Even if it's raining, even if you're in a windstorm, whatever may be going on weather-wise where you are, always remember there's a blessing in the storm. Psalm 63 verse 1 says, "O God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water." You know what the songwriter's saying? He says, I can't exist. Now notice what he's saying. I can't exist without you. Because if you ever stop getting hydrated, I promise you're going to die. I promise you, without water, you're going to die. Without food, you're going to die. So I promise you, the songwriter understood this. He says, "Oh God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in dry and weary land where there is no water." He said, I know I would die without you. So let me ask you a question. Are you thirsting for God? Because if you're not, there's a good indication that something is missing. So enjoy your Monday.
Java with Pastor John is brought to you by the Bennett family of companies, offering top competitive pay, industry-leading fuel discounts, and many more incentives. Visit drive4bme.com.
Amen. Back to you, lovely fellas.
Thank you, Master Dre. This celebration of National Days is brought to you by truckdown.com, because the quickest way back to the party is Truckdown. Since 1997, truckers with maintenance needs for maintenance providers have been hooking up, and they're now serving 50 states and 8 provinces. Go to truckdown.com, and after that, you can celebrate
National Banana Split Day.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, yeah. Andre, you love a banana split.
Oh, I'm coming in there. Hold on. I'm coming back. You talked about banana splits.
Banana split.
That just brings me back to my childhood because I grew up with older parents. So it's like when it comes to the new things, like my dad was like, oh, yeah, I'll take an Oreo, but just give me a banana split. Give me a fudge sundae. Just give me something simple. Homemade vanilla bluebell. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Well, there's a guy named David Strickler who he wasn't a soda jerk. He was a pharmacist's apprentice up in New York. And he used to play around with experiments. And he came up with this thing. He didn't know what to call it, but he knew it was worth something. And a sundae was about a nickel.
Right.
He was able to charge 10 cents for this thing.
So he basically had a sundae that he added a banana to and threw a cherry on top and called it a banana split.
Called it a banana
Is there
split.
any origin story whatsoever beyond that?
Beyond that, no.
He just basically split the banana and he called it a banana split.
That's
What's
it.
his name one more time?
David Strickler.
David Strickler, here's to him, inventor of the banana split. By the way, I wanted to let you know that leads us to the bad joke of the day. This bad joke of the day is brought to you by, but is not the responsibility of, ShadyRays.com. The laugh's on you if you don't take advantage of their lost and broken protection program, their customer service, and a chance to look as cool as a banana split. Go to ShadyRays.com. They've got your back. What do you call a banana that eats other bananas?
What do you call a banana that eats other bananas?
A canana-banable. Yeah. And we're back to Nemo Nation. So we got a whole bunch of guests coming up, too. We've only got through 3 of them so far, correct? Maybe 4.
Oh, we didn't talk about Mark Schremer, who wrote a big story for
Senior
Landline.
editor at Landline.
Senior editor.
Not managing editor at
No,
Landline.
Senior editor.
I said managing editor.
And he's not that old.
He's not that old.
He's not that old. He wrote a thing called Administration to Halt Work Visas for Truck Drivers, Rubio says. So we'll certainly talk about that, I'm sure, as well. It's going to be a big topic today. It's the big topic in the industry now because it's so multifaceted.
Well,
you don't know where to start.
Well, and the thing is, so we do know where to start. We're going to start with a 30,000-foot view with Jamie Jones. We're going to talk about what that looks like on the ground. By the way, this is the moment. Madison with a T will be arriving later. She's usually the one who tells us to silence our phones, which I did not do. But no, we got a 30,000-foot view from Jamie. We get a rules and regs view from.
What was that?
I don't know yet. We got a 30,000-foot rules and regs view from our good friend Rick Gobble. Lots of people are going to be covering this today. This is going to be a big, big topic. We're talking about it. Okay, after Mark Schwemmer shuffles off his radio coil, who's next?
Okay, this is awesome. This is absolutely awesome. A guy who used to listen to the show, and he used to call into the show when he was a teenager here in New Orleans, is now in the latest class of citizen drivers at TA Petro.
Wow.
Jay Hosty. And Jay and I have been knowing each other for all those many years. Get to see each other every once in a while. Saw each other up in York, Pennsylvania last year for the ATHS show. He was on the air with us. He hung with us there for a while. And he is an owner-operator, always been an owner-operator, even in his 20s, sort of like Gary Salisbury, old friend from Fikes Truck Line. He
friend
never
of yours,
drove
friend
a
of
company
Lynn's.
truck.
It's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
And that's one of those places where you and Lindsay have a common connection in Gary Salisbury, but you did not know Gary Salisbury from the other person. I mean, like Lindsay did not introduce you to Gary Salisbury.
Right.
You did not introduce
Exactly.
Lindsay to Gary Salisbury. That's the reality.
Sort of like Candy Bass and John Osborne in a sense. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
By the way, even though our friend Paranormal Pie Man is against this new corporate look for McDonald's, he still loves him, though a bacon McDouble is what he likes from McDonald's. And the best banana split he ever had was at the Big Boy in Manistee, Michigan. And then, of course, our good friend Trucker Boson is in York, Pennsylvania, and says, good morning to everybody out there in Nemo Nation. But the guests continue. We have so many guests today because it is Nemo Nation. You can actually check that lineup up at RadioNemo.com. And by the way, Tara will be here in just short order for Breaker Breaker Talkback.
Yeah.
You guys can give us a call now or then at 615-292-6366.
Nemo, N-E-M-O.
There you go. Trey, you got it.
It's you.
Oh.
Thank you, Dave.
Give him a banana split.
But we always give the numbers because I'll always remember this email. Can you guys please stop giving out letters on the radio for phone numbers? Because I can't see those letters on my phone.
I know. Well, and it's funny, too, because I'm always kind of amazed at how I'm thinking, oh, man, this is going to be a different set of numbers. How many? I have a friend of mine. Her name is Lara, Dave. Her number is Rub Lara. And people are now checking their phones, going like, my poor friend's going to have her phone blow up this morning.
Yeah.
We got good people out there. They'll leave her in peace. Nemo Nation continues. Who's after that?
Janet Jarvis, she heads up the Oregon Trucking Association and got a little bit more good news in the trucking industry because they are changing the way they tax fuel now. It's called the Weight Mile Simplification and Diesel Tax Modernization. She's going to kind of spell that out for us up in Oregon. And no sooner do we leave Oregon than we cross right over into Wyoming and meet up with Kevin Hawley. He's kind of new to trucking, actually, but he's got a great background doing stuff that really puts him right in the driver's seat of what he does at the WTA. And we'll be talking
Anytime
about...
anything begins with WT, I'm like, where are we going here? Where are we going here? Where are we going here? Go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But, we'll talk about what's cooking up there at the Wyoming Trucking Association with Kevin. And our friend Mike McCourse.
I know, and they've been so great. I got to tell you, I can't wait, not for those to be done because I want them done.
Mm-hmm.
I could do them forever. The overview of the options, that messy middle that we've been talking about for a while, is pretty groovy. By the way, speaking of crossing over from state to state, before we actually hit this break, and we'll come back with more guests and more information on the other side, along with Breaker Talkback. Speaking of crossing over, you actually cross Route 66 on Nemo's Night Beat, don't you?
Oh, my goodness. I loved putting that show together. It debuts tonight at 7 o'clock Central Time.
And it will be the one from today.
It will be the one. It'll be the right one. Well, anyway.
That's a
we're
fun
learning
story.
as we go.
No,
we are learning as we go.
That's a fun story. Nobody did anything wrong. Dre didn't do anything wrong. We didn't know that you have to submit it at a certain time. And if you don't, iHeart is... They're great, though. They're like, we've still got something. We'll play it.
Yeah.
We'll just get us the next one in order of appearance. So, but it's a whole kind of tribute to Route 66, isn't it?
It is. It's a head start because next year, 2026, we will have the centennial of Route 66, 100 years on paper now, of course. But Route 66 was pretty much just a bunch of dirt roads before it became a U.S. highway.
One thing I'm going to have Phone Master Dre do is when we get that one, once we get it broadcast tonight and then tomorrow on Ree's Radio, which, by the way, big thanks to Jeff Pierce, Amber Karen, and our good friend Courtney George. We got to take a quick break here, Dave. I'm going to point at my good friend Dre, have him bring up some groovy music that our dear friend Claire Marie created for us.
Hey, whenever you said dirty, I thought you were just going to say there's a lot of dirty people, not dirty roads.
There are a lot of dirty people. 3 of them are sitting right here.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. Nemo Nation continues. Are you Nemo?
That'd be a good radio name. Dirty Roads. This is Dirty Roads speaking. Dirty Roads. Exceptional value and exceptional values. That's Bennett Trucking. A core commitment of faith, family, and freedom has driven Bennett to being the leading provider of innovative, integrated transportation solutions, both at home and abroad. Bennett's values are not just compatible with providing high-paying jobs and unmatched customer service. They're inseparable. If you're looking for an employer or a partner who believes the best business model is being a model citizen, then Bennett Trucking is the place for you. Go to BennettIG.com and find the folks who share your values.
The Joshua Chamberlain Society is unlike any other veterans organization. It's truly a family, and I know that firsthand from working with them myself. Their mission is to make wounded veterans and families of deceased veterans feel the support and appreciation of their community for life. Our veterans' injuries are permanent, and so is the JCS support. From monetary assistance like paying utility bills or college funds to helping our heroes find purpose, JCS is a family that surrounds and supports the heroes who have sacrificed so much. Learn more and make your donation at chamberlainsociety.org. That's chamberlainsociety.org.
Okay, you've heard the horror stories of how folks have lost their life savings when the market tanks. Is there a way to invest and make money without risk? Believe it or not, yes. Since 1995, Americans who cannot afford to lose their investments have used fixed index annuities. You get guaranteed income and protection from market downturns. It's a win-win for you and your future. And to learn more, dial pound 250. Use the keyword Truckers Wealth to get in touch with them today.
Take a breath and settle in for a bit of the long haul on Nemo Nation.
Thank you, Claire. Back to you, Jimmy and Dave.
Thank you, Phone Master Dre. You can reach him at 615-292-6366.
Nemo.
Hey ho, that is the man, and who you all know. Our good friend Trucker Bosun says it kind of stinks at 66. Doesn't go all the way to California anymore. I think we hit a dead end in Arizona somewhere on the hot rod ride. And Paranormal Pie Man says you can't use part of the original 66 in Chicago either. The more things change, the more things change. Sometimes,
They do,
and
yeah.
it is a fading reality, which is why I think some people are actually celebrating in the hopes that they bring back parts of it and they kind of restore certain elements of it. When's the last time you spent any time on Route 66? Bentley did. Bentley actually during the pandemic got in a car and drove a lot of it.
I was out in Kingman, Arizona, at TA out there for a celebration, and the creosote plants got to me. And my eyes were just running down my face. I mean, it was horrible. And one of the drivers says, "Hey, just go in there and get you some," and I forget what it was. It was one of those allergy relief pills you can buy over the counter, Allegra or something like that. Is that Allegra, one of those?
Yeah.
Whatever. And I took it and said it was good for 4 hours. So I took it, and 4 hours later, I was supposed to be up on stage, a flatbed trailer stage, the typical thing, and do all of the emceeing for the awards and the concert and all of that stuff. And I got up there at 3 hours and 59 minutes. When I walked up to the microphone, that 4-hour mark hit, and my eyes just started gushing. I couldn't see a thing.
I'm always amazed, like with Theraflu and some of those medications, they're not lying, dude.
No.
They tell you exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, "Oh, yeah, you get instant relief, back pain will go away, head will get clear, blah, 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 blah." And then that stuff wears off, and you're like, "Oh, there it is again."
Mm-hmm.
And you literally sit by the bed with that stuff waiting for you.
Yes, yeah.
It doesn't last, none of it lasts long enough to get a full night's sleep. You always have to
Never.
wake up at some point. It's always the halfway point of your sleep. By the way, who keeps us alive and well and awake and knowing what's going on with the happenings of the newfangled technologies?
Say it!
Tara, terrific. Turtle.
Touchdown, Garris.
yes.
Hey, good morning. Yeah. Good morning.
Oh, my goodness.
Good morning, T.
Good morning, guys.
What's happening? What's going on? What are the haps?
Oh my gosh, guys, it's been crazy on social media. I know, Jimmy, last week on Breaker Back Talk, we talked about the wave of comments and even a little bit of controversy that our social media posts have stirred up. But today, Dave, I want to get your take. You've seen the pages light up on our social media, especially on the clip about us leaving satellite radio, and of course the Mount Rushmore of trucking radio post. But my first question, Dave, when you see that many comments flooding in, does it make you excited? Are you a little bit anxious? I know some of the comments can be negative sometimes. And, social media for us is still a bit new. We've always had the callers, but having that many people reacting all at once has to be a little bit overwhelming.
It is, actually. It really is. And it's very gratifying. And when somebody has a negative comment, that's okay because they're still there,
Yeah.
And maybe
Exactly.
we'll do something that they'll have a positive comment about the next day. I think it's a love-hate relationship like all of our relationships. That's the one thing that separates, well, I won't say that. That's the one thing we strove for, going back to the original Road Gang with Charlie Douglas in 1971. I joined him in 72. The idea was that we were basically a one-on-one we had one-on-one relationship. Well, look at Jay Hosty. He's the perfect example. He was a kid. He's a teenager. And I can't tell you how many folks guys who now have kids and drive trucks and all of that, would say, man, I used to listen to y'all with my radio under my pillow at night
Donnie
'cause
Tolk.
my dad was out on the air. Donnie Tolk.
Donnie Tolk.
Yes.
Donnie Tolk
So
is a great
it's
example of that.
And Charlie Douglas told, and I'm just going to, and I'll stop this in a moment, but there were two things that Charlie Douglas thought I would that would be good things that I would be accepted by the drivers. And he said, first off, you're a veteran. Okay, that's that. And the other thing is you worked on the river. And there was a great affinity between rivermen and roadmen, if you will. And when that came out, that's who I was pretty much accepted by the folks out there on the road, and I've never taken that for granted, and I've always treasured that. And so here we are, still today, still doing it.
It's so exciting to see all of the negative, the positive, all of it, because thank you for the engagement. We appreciate your listenership. And, people are less apt to call into the show and just, leave a hate call, but a hate comment, really easy to do. They love to hide behind the screen.
There's always a little time and a little space for a little bit of hate.
Yeah.
Never get a chance to run over 2 minutes. Tara, before actually you get to your next question, before I say go on, I did want to make a really quick comment. I know you got a whole bunch of stuff to cover here, but the quick comment about the Mount Rushmore trucking. Dave, you were saying some lovely things over the weekend about Trucking Bozo, Dale Summers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just kind of wondering, for our listeners' benefit, for those people who are young and new, who don't know who Dale Summers is, and I mean, that's people who just got into this, because a lot of people, even people who are in their 40s, know who he is. He's only 13 years gone from us. Can you give people a little insight on who Dale Summers was, who Trucking Bozo was?
Sure. He was... and his son, Steve, is still out there.
Yeah, very good at what he does.
Yeah,
very good
has
at what
been
he
for
does.
a long, long time. But Dale was a radio guy. He's one of those feather rufflers out there. I forget. I think it was Kansas City. It might have been Kansas City. It might have been Kansas City, where he did a stunt. It was a stunt. Had nobody realized what was going to happen. It became a stunt. It was a joke that became a stunt, inadvertently. He told everybody that the city needed to clean out the sewer system, and you need to flush your toilet at 3:00 this afternoon, that sort of thing. And it built it up for a few weeks, and everybody did it, showing you the power of radio. Everybody did it. I think he got, this is a long time ago. And I don't remember what I was doing a long time ago. I don't remember what I was doing yesterday. But I think he got fired on that one. But see, radio is one of those weird things where it's really no disgrace to be fired from your job.
Oh, no. Happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
I mean, you have to basically break through the atmosphere to prevent yourself from being fired. And even as we found out what is happening right now at our former platform, even people you think are untouchable aren't always untouchable, are they?
Oh, never.
And really interesting. Okay, well, I just wanted to get a look, because you had said so many things this weekend about Bill Mack and about Charlie and about Trucking Bozo. I wanted to give those folks over there, the Summers family, a shout out. I got to tell you, they've kept a lot of people entertained, father and son, for many years.
Well, how cool. It was so cool to all three of us. I mean, really sincerely, Bill, Dale, Trucking Bozo, myself, being on the same stage at the same time on XM,
Right.
before the merger, when we were on XM, and we were up there together at Mid America. We were on the air together, and it was a culmination, I think, of everything that occurred before on AM, and it was all just picked up and brought over and in one big pile.
Yeah, and
XM.
That's a whole other conversation for a whole other day, which is really kind of interesting about how, you always find where the new life is. There's always an audience, and you've got to find that audience sometimes, but they're there and they're waiting for you. And that was about simply escaping if I please correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of that was about escaping a lot of angry voices that were on AM radio, and neither you, Bill Mack, nor Trucking Bozo were angry voices. You
No,
were voices
no.
of joy, entertainment, sometimes a little mischief, flush them turlets.
Yeah.
But in many ways, it's a great story. Tara, go on.
Thank you. I think that we're going to go more into the Mount Rushmore of Trucking radio post probably next Monday, because we had so many comments. I literally started the, us leaving satellite radio conversation with like, we're just so sick of this topic. And we were just trying to like kind of get it out there, set it to rest. But then the comments just exploded and we didn't realize what that post would do. So today we're going to be doing the comments from that video. So are we ready? There's a lot. Are we ready to dive in?
Go on.
Okay. This one comes in from Doug S. It says, Nemo Radio, Overdrive Radio, Landline Now, and Trucking with Oida, and you've got a university course in trucking. Thanks to all that you do. I thought that was so nice, because it's true that the amount of information that all of those programs hold.
I like the
Dave
inclusive-ness there, too.
Yes, all of them.
That's what it's
Love it.
about.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I wanted to really quickly kind of throw this back to Dave as well, too. It's like, the way you conceived of the show on the previous platform, on this platform, what you and I have talked about putting together here, is to not just give people really fun times. We're having a lot of fun this morning, but so much of our programming, especially the first 2 hours of Road Gang Radio and all of the programming on this show, is about giving people the information that they need and giving it to them in a way that is entertaining and accessible. Right, Dave?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, that's it. I mean, but how did you do that? I mean, how did you kind of basically say, now that I'm no longer playing music, I've got to keep the listeners informed now? So you'll have like, we'll have On the Highway with Tom Bray, Rick's Rules, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the foundation is what? Where does that come from?
I think the foundation came out of what we felt at the time, and I emphasize at the time, was really a necessity. We felt like we had we always had an obligation to inform, not educate, because you don't want to know from me. But I can tell you what the people who know are saying, and you don't need to go searching out all of that stuff. So we became sort of like a focal point, but not in our own right, but a focal point kind of just reflecting what the people in the know are, what they know. Now you know.
If you figure they can explain it to you in a way that you understand, that anybody will understand.
I can't explain it in a way that I understand.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
though. So you bring on folks. It's like, okay, so help explain this to me. And if you figure if you get it, then anybody will get it. Is that kind of the?
My wife had to teach me how to add up times the other day. I was putting together last week's Nemo's Night Beat, and I wound up 10 minutes short, and I couldn't believe it. It's like, what? And 10 minutes is more than a lifetime. That's beyond eternity in radio.
Yeah, it's a lot of people make the mistake about not knowing what that 120 seconds is 2 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and what really gets people screwed up is that they don't add up seconds and then calculate it and then do the long division for it.
Gotta do the long division.
Gotta do
Can't
the long
use a
division.
calculator.
Clock runs out on you, man. Or the clock, or you end up being, I got this all packed in here. Wait, why am I 7 minutes short?
Yeah.
Tick, 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 tick. Go on.
In regards to us leaving satellite radio, someone commented, I thought the story probably went something like that. Good thing you were independent, or you may have gotten the escort out the door. Keep doing what you're doing. Your fans have your back. That was from Missing Link.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten the escort out the door, Dave?
Yes, I was told not to show. Mickey McIntyre, she and I worked together for a lot of years at WWL, and then we moved to Nashville on WLAC. And then things kind of went south when, interestingly enough, Truckin' Bozo knocked me out of a job because you had, okay, how many trucking radio shows do you need at midnight? You can only have one.
Right.
So when but by the time 1995 or so came along, I was working for the largest radio corporation ever, AM FM Inc. And so we were the big fish. The next sized fish was Clear Channel Radio out of Cincinnati. That's WLW. That's Truckin' Bozo. the smaller fish ate the bigger fish. So I was let go, which is fine. Okay, we understand that. And Mickey and I hooked up with some folks. We kept going and wound up at Mid-America. We borrowed a bunch of stuff for our booth from friends, and we just were there. You know, we were there in the pavilion. And the people who owned the company that we were working for,
is this the ones that paid you guys and nobody else?
yes.
Oh my
yes.
God.
And they said, well, don't bother to show up for work Monday. We're closing down. And Mickey and I looked at each other and said, you're closing down. We're going to be there. And we just did it ourselves and hobbled through until, you know, we...
Did you go to the studio they told you not to go into? Where did you broadcast from?
Yeah. We just changed. We told them, hey, we're here and we're going to do it. So, and we kept our sponsors and all of that kind of stuff. Our sponsors through the years. Okay, Jay, I keep mentioning Jay because I'm so thrilled he's going to be on.
Jay
with us.
Hosty, by the way,
Jay
is going
Hosty.
to be joining us later on.
Next Saturday, this coming Saturday at 11 o'clock, he's going to have his a ceremony, the naming ceremony, at the TA in Slidell, Louisiana on I-10. It'll be the Jay Hosty Travel Centers of America. That location, that place, was our first. That place was the first sponsor on trucking radio, period, ever, anywhere.
Wow.
At that time, it was the Slidell Union 76. And then the Mobile Union 76 joined us. But we are going, we've had those guys as a sponsor. Petro was a sponsor. The Cardwell family, Jack Cardwell and his family, had 12 truck stops. And I remember one year, late 80s, I went to one truck stop a month. And then they merged in with T.A. Petro. So it's T.A. Petro. Well, T.A. and now it's T.A. Petro.
I wonder how much you had to do with that merging, too, by the way, the idea that you were interconnected and people started doing the... Look, I'm not giving you credit. I'm just simply saying people start it helps people accelerate putting the dots together.
I never thought about
You thinking
that.
about, you see what I'm saying? I don't mean I'm not saying like Nemo.
No, I hear
is
what you're saying, but I never thought.
But that somebody's listening, somebody in marketing, somebody in development, somebody in acquisitions goes, you know what? If we actually had all of those and this guy was only talking about us, we'd have an incredible reach.
Wow. I don't know. That never crossed my mind.
That's how I think, by the way. I'm greedy. Go on.
Well, Edward S. said, okay, now that I understand where Dave's at, I'll be listening. I was on medical leave and just so happened to tune into Road Dogg again and no more Dave Nemo show. I wondered what had happened. I followed him over from the XM days, and now I will be able to listen again.
Awesome. Edward, that is
great.
awesome. Good morning to you, if you're listening.
The follow over, by the way, the follow over, Edward, good morning. I want to ask you about the follow over, too. So you've made a couple of big moves. What is the tipping point? There's going to be a tipping point here as our numbers continue to grow where you're kind of like, oh, yeah, baby, we're back. Oh, yeah, we're back. Is there a series of phone calls? Is there a tell when, or have you always been the kind of person that's kept on doing your thing and then all of a sudden you find yourself like, oh, wait, I'm back to where I was? Is there a moment or is there a canary in the coal mine that tells you, oh, wait, this might be the moment?
Wow, you're asking me very difficult questions that I've never
You're
really
doing really well. You're doing well with them,
I
though.
don't think so.
I mean, you got it.
But I think that every time the rug was pulled out or we got thrown off a cliff or whatever has happened, something through the grace of God and those people in heaven who are helping me, they have. I was able to step into something that turned out to be something better than I ever thought it could possibly be.
Yeah, I mean, the XM comes to mind. The idea
sure.
you get there with 1,700 subscribers, and people are laughing at you as you walk out the door. At what moment were you told, like, hey, we got more than 1,700 subscribers? Do you remember a moment being like, wait a minute, we're in something here?
Not really a moment, but I mean, it was you could see the trajectory. You
I
could see the
understand.
trajectory.
Ten Ring says good morning, by the
Oh,
way,
yeah.
and Trucker Bosun
Good
says
morning.
he's given a few employees the escort out the door back in the day, and a few of them in handcuffs. I can relate to that on both sides of the equation, by the way.
Yeah.
I never had to slap handcuffs on anybody, even some very, very disgruntled fathers who didn't like the way their child payments were going. Never had to slap any cuffs on anybody. I'm glad. That's harder than you think it is, by the way. Tara, go on.
Thank you. Alan Rs dropped in and said, I enjoy listening to Dave on this new format. I used to listen to other truck driving podcasts years ago until the station in Cincinnati did not like it. The only things I listened to on satellite radio was that channel and some other jazz channels. But once Dave left satellite radio, I canceled my subscription, and now I just listen to Dave on the new format.
Wow. The new format is new. Radio and streaming, which is what we are doing now, are as different as lasagna and an apple pie. They're both food. They're both delicious. You want them both, but they have nothing in common except that
neither one is good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
And you eat them with a fork.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it. And Jimmy Mack has actually helped me get into the groove of this format because it's different. It's completely different.
But what's really cool, and we go back to Nemo's Night Beat, which will be tonight at 7 o'clock in the center on iHeartRadio, and then tomorrow on Rees Radio at 9 in the center and 10 in the east.
Exactly.
10 in the east. You in many ways know the format, though, because you were so used in the old format, playing 2 songs, come back, talk for 2.5 to 3 minutes, play 2 to 3 more songs, a bit of comedy, move on to the next song. So in many ways, everything old is new again. Speaking of that,
yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, Jane Jazrawi will be here for The Future Was Yesterday at the end of this show. That's really cool. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Tara, go on.
Well, Nick M. dropped into comments and said, I didn't even need to hear Nemo say what it was to know what it was. Satellite radio has a long history of pulling stuff like this. It's a different situation, but look what they did to Opie and Anthony. Do you guys know who that is?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Tell people who Opie and Anthony are.
They are a morning zoo kind of type radio personalities.
And Sirius XM
really wild and crazy.
Sirius XM has room essentially for one big fish, and it's part of the reason why I think the Howard Stern thing is happening, because they brought in that podcast with Jason Bateman. What's the name of that thing? What is it called? I can't remember, guys. Jason Bateman and the other 2 actors do a podcast together.
Yeah.
That's the big fish, and Stern doesn't like them. And I think Sirius XM, given the setup of its model, really only has room for one big fish. They don't like big fish. They like being in control. I don't blame them. It's their platform. I mean, it's their game. They don't want anybody to get too big, and so Opie and Anthony were a big deal. Now, some people have negotiated their way back on. I don't know if you know that, Dave. Some people have gone away and gone back onto Sirius XM when they realize the error of their ways. We got to get to 3.5, do we not? Is he still with us?
Yep.
He's still with us. We got 3.5 on the phone. Wants to talk about the ATHS. Wants to talk about Route 66. Sorry we kept you waiting for so long, my friend, but it's good to have you.
That's okay. Good morning to all of you.
Hey, good morning.
Good
I
morning.
just wanted to kind of let you know that the announcement came out within the last few days that the ATHS will be having their annual convention in Springfield, Missouri.
Whoa,
And
that's
there'll be more details to follow.
Place, center of the country. Yes.
For 2026. Yeah, Cleveland's out and Springfield, Missouri, not Illinois, where they headed a few years back, but Springfield, Missouri is in, according to the email I got. And then the other thing I wanted to tell you about, in talking about Route 66, I have associates out of Indiana that are going to Chicago, and they're going to run Route 66 to Santa Monica, which sounds fun.
Okay.
Until you find out they're doing it in Model A Fords.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That's taking your time. That is taking your time right there.
Okay.
I'm taking my Toyota pickup with a 16-foot open trailer to Santa Fe, New Mexico, meeting with them there, and I'm going to be their support group. I have a truckload of tools and parts and
Oh
we'll
man,
run
that is
back.
way too cool. Yeah.
Then we'll run back as far as San Bernardino, California with them,
Mm-hmm.
to where I will then leave them, come home and get my Model A, and go to join them on Route 66 over around Glendora, California, and run to Santa Monica with them the last leg of the trip.
Fantastic. Now,
And
so
that's
what are the
late
dates then?
September, early October.
Okay. So yeah,
We'll
so
keep you-
sort of a precursor to the centennial.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, listen, I'm not going to give any hint whatsoever, but if you listen to Nemo's Night Beat this evening, it'll be 5 o'clock your time, and it'll run at 5 o'clock your time all week, 7 days until next Monday when the new one goes out. The Route 66 show, I talk about a race, and that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, very good.
Yes.
And we'll let you sit there and
And
kind
then
of.
the only other
Go ahead.
thing I thought about while I was on hold was, what little hate I've had in my life has made me appreciate the love.
Ah,
That's
Yes.
absolutely true.
That is absolutely
That's absolutely true, man. It's a great line where a guy, I forget, I think it's Rectified, where he said, a lot of people have tried to do me wrong over the years. He says, but that only makes me think about all the people that have done me right and stood by me in my moments of needs. And I choose to focus on that today. Thank you, D. Thank you, Mr. 3.5. Good to hear from
All
you.
right, buddy.
All right.
Talk soon.
bye-bye.
We got time for one more, by the way. Springfield, Missouri is where the ATHS is going to have its next conference.
It's a great location.
Great location, by the way. And by the way, that's not the Simpsons Springfield. You know that, by the way. Everybody says that it's the Illinois one. Everybody said it's Springfield, Illinois, where the Simpsons take place. But there are a few people in Missouri that claim it takes place in Missouri.
I thought it was Ohio.
You see?
Yeah.
That's kind of it. It's everywhere, except where Tara is. Go on. Last one.
Well, in relation to that topic, actually, Eric Reiselt, who you and I met in York, Pennsylvania at the ATHS annual conference, said, "Thanks for all you guys do. Thanks for the support for ATHS. It was an honor to be on air with you." And he also dropped in the YouTube comments as well and had lots of kind words. So thanks for the shout out, Eric. We appreciate
Yes,
it.
indeed, Eric. Thank you so much.
Tara, they have given us, our friends out there, because of this postings you've come up with, the Mount Rushmore, and making sure we got to answer the question on Breaker Back Talk. We have got ourselves social media for weeks. We could take this into the ether. Thank you so much. And by the way, it wouldn't be a bad idea maybe for our friends out there who are fans of Trucking Bozo to maybe pull a little bit from that before that becomes into the ether as well, and let people know that we actually know the history of trucking radio around here. Thank you, ma'am.
Hey, thank you guys so much. This is going to push us through weeks of content. So we appreciate all your comments and be safe out there.
Thank you so much. Jody Val says, good morning to everybody. Marshall Platter says, it's great to be able to go back and listen to replays when you miss stuff. Lots of people are contributing. Lots of people are hitting that like button. You should too. Jamie Jones is coming up here in just a moment. There's kind of a theme you sense, isn't there, Dave? There's something out there that you sense in regards to what we're going to be talking about today, correct?
Yes, an unfortunate situation in the melding of two unfortunate situations, a U-turn and undocumented drivers, unqualified. Let me say unqualified drivers.
Undocumented, unqualified,
Yeah.
and who let these people onto our highways is the
Exactly.
big question. The big question isn't about them. It's about who is responsible for letting these people get here. Marty Ellis, by the way,
Oh,
says, good
yeah.
morning from Carl Junction, Missouri. Make it a great Monday. We will with friends like Marty out there. We always do with friends like Jamie Jones and Rick Gobble. By the way, I did tell people that Jane Jezraoui is going to be joining us today. By the way, if you notice, Madison with a T is not here. She'll be
I
coming
did
in
notice
later.
that.
The people who are responsible for helping her make her movie are going to be dropping in. And at the end of the show, you have an old friend of the show, correct?
Yes, well, she's young, and she is going to talk about the Wharton County Recovery Team that she founded over in Texas after Hurricane, I forgot his name, not Harvey.
Melvin?
No, it started with an H. What hurricane? It was huge. It was horrible. People died and everything. And
That's why you're trying to forget it.
yeah,
How about we leave it at that?
yeah.
Assign nothing else to your forgetfulness. We'll take a quick break here. We'll come back on the other side. Jamie Jones is coming up here. Nemo Nation now enters its fast and furious point. Hey, guys, go to truckdown.com. They serve 50 states, 8 provinces. They've been doing it since 1997. Get out of that ditch and get up and truck down. truckdown.com. We'll be back as Nemo Nation continues. Thank you, Dave.
Get $25 off on your next preventive maintenance service. Stop by TA Truck Service and save when you choose Castrol oil and a Fleet Guard oil filter. Now through September 30, 2025. Enjoy premium performance with trusted brands. Castrol, protection for the long haul guaranteed. Fleet Guard, run cleaner longer with filtration science. Our ASC certified technicians are ready to deliver expert preventive maintenance and more. TA Truck Service, Castrol, Fleet Guard, your partners in preventive maintenance.
Did you know it's extremely easy to join the Wreaths Across America mission to remember our fallen heroes, while at the same time honoring those who are currently serving our country and their families? Plus, you're helping to teach our younger generation about the value of freedom. With just one $17 donation to Wreaths Across America, you're sponsoring a fresh Maine Balsam Remembrance Wreath. They've really become a symbol of America's respect for those who bravely served and are no longer with us. To sponsor your wreath, just visit wreathsacrossamerica.org. That's wreathsacrossamerica.org.
In a video game, if you get enough experience, you level up. And when you level up, you gain more skill. And with enough skill, you beat the boss and win the game.
Sounds a lot like trucking, doesn't it?
Except in trucking, you don't beat the boss, you become the boss. And if you want to be the boss, you gotta meet the boss.
And that boss? Carrier's Edge boss, Jane Jezraoui.
Want your drivers to level up? Carrier's Edge has the training, comprehensive safety, compliance, and best practices on one website. It's a simple subscription with no contract and no commitment. Learn more. Try it out. Level up. CarriersEdge.com.
Hey, come on! We're starting the game!
All right, I'm coming. Wait for me. CarriersEdge.com.
There are precious few nonprofits in the trucking industry, and even fewer that make a tangible difference in the lives of professional drivers. So thank goodness for the St. Christopher Fund. Since 2008, over 4,000 over-the-road semi-truck drivers have turned to the St. Christopher Truckers Fund when a medical issue took them out of work. The SCF steps in and pays necessary household expenses such as mortgage, rent, utilities, insurance, and vehicle payments. The SCF also provides free health and wellness programs for drivers. So find out how the SCF can help you, or help the SCF yourself. They'll turn your dollars and cents into that tangible difference for the professional drivers who need it most. Support our highway heroes with a donation at truckersfund.org. We're back on Nemo Nation with another fast-paced Fastport Studios half hour.
Big thanks to Fastport, by the way, and our friend Brad Bentley over there. They're out there solving America's toughest recruiting and workforce challenges through research, technology, and people. From registered apprenticeships to veteran readiness, you can learn more at fastport.com or nationalapprenticeship.org. Go over their social media as well on Facebook. You can start to see, or on LinkedIn as well, the remarkable great Americans that have been nominated for that Transition Trucking Driving for Excellence Awards. We are back on Nemo Nation. The man with the plan, who has been here for 50 plus years, continues his merry adventure. Dave Nemo, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, and good morning to everybody out there here this morning. Jamie Jones is about to join us.
And what do you say we give Jamie Jones a little bit of that reporter music to kind of bring her on in, shall we? There it is, Jamie Jones. Who is she, Dave?
Jamie Jones directs the editorial content for Landline magazine, from lug nuts to legislation, always with the trucker in mind.
Jamie Jones, good morning. How you doing? That's for you, by the way.
That's the official announcement
That's
of the
official
morning.
Jamie Jones. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. I love coming on the show.
We love having you on the show, that's for sure. And boy, you've always got something big to do. You know, ever since you started coming on the show with us, big stuff has been happening. I don't know, coincidence?
Oh,
I don't know.
right. Oh my gosh, it feels like a fire hose of news in our faces right now. It's insane what's been going on.
Yes, it has been. And it's interesting, too, and we're going to zero in on the big zero-in thing this morning, of course, over in Florida. But it's interesting, and I was telling Jim earlier this morning that I've been around a long time, okay, and I don't remember everything, but I certainly don't ever remember anybody dealing with the trucking industry from the federal government dealing with the trucking industry through anybody but the Transportation Department. And this is the State Department, with Marco Rubio as Secretary of State saying the increasing number of foreign drivers operating large tractor-trailer trucks on U.S. roads is endangering American lives. He wrote that after you guys sent a letter out, and you guys are the guys who have stoked this fire, and it's been smoldering for decades now, though, and finally it's kind of burst into flames. So, wow, I think that shows the power of what you guys have had since the mid '70s when OOIDA was born in the midst of the Arab oil embargo.
Oh, 100%. I mean, OOIDA, and it's really funny because Landline's celebrating its 50th. October will be our 50th anniversary issue. So, I mean, there's so much, and going back through those issues and preparing, content for our 50th. It's so crazy how many of these issues have been around for so long. Mark Schirmer is actually preparing a piece on the English language proficiency for our October issue, and he sent me a link to an old op-ed that I did, opinion piece, if you will, back in 2007 about English-only CDL testing. And he said, you and your crystal ball, and that's from 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And I started laughing, and I said, dude, I'm serious. Some of this stuff just doesn't, it's like whack-a-mole, man. You just, you keep whacking it down. And, Jim Johnson and Todd Spencer, I mean, they've been here since, Jim was there since the beginning and died in, 2018. Rest his soul. Todd took over, and he's been here since dang near the beginning of the association. I don't know how they feel about it, but it's nuts how many times we've had to go back over these same issues, and it's like, oh, wait. And I think that's what's wild about this news cycle. Oh, wait, they're paying attention this time. The government's actually maybe going to do something about it. And I think that's what's really encouraging for those of us who have been in the trenches for so long, saying this is a safety issue. This is a safety issue. This is a problem. You have to do something about it. And all of a sudden they're doing something about it. And now we have even the State Department getting in on it. It's like, wow, that's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, granted, and we're not going to go down this rabbit hole, but having the State Department getting in on it, which means it is political. You can say that when the Transportation Department gets into it, it could be political, but this is strictly political. That's what they are. They are a political organization within the government. So all of that being said, this is the first time with trucking getting this type of attention.
Getting play.
Can we make this last for any longer than that traditional snowball in hell? Which is kind of like you think, okay, that was our day in the sun. Back to, breaks over back on your heads, right?
Well, I've been kind of whining about it slightly, to be honest, because we have all these announcements and everything keeps happening, but the news cycle is so filled with it that it's like, okay, we have other problems in trucking that we need to be talking about too. And that makes it challenging. It's like we're in a one horse race right now. And that makes it challenging, but we, from a news perspective, and that's all that I'm saying. It's just, because you try and double source everything that you can. And right now we're working off a tweet, on X. Sorry, I really do despise the fact that Elon Musk took Twitter away from us. because tweets was easier to talk about than X.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I think it's still called tweets on X. I think I think he hasn't figured out a terminology.
I struggle with that one anyway. But no, I mean, it's just because it is so politicized. We're dealing with a very important issue that we hope that all of these things that they're saying are going to happen, but we're not seeing the backup documentation yet. We're not seeing that second source, and that's what we want to start seeing right now. But in the interim, it's okay. So we still have a truck parking issue. We still have these other problems, and so that makes it challenging from a reporting aspect. That you're like, okay, this is great. We're making so much headway here. There's attention on this issue. Let's not forget about the other ones. And by the way, while we're focused on the one, can we get some legitimate second sourcing out there?
Jamie, we are out of time. There is so much more to talk.
Trimmer's coming on later.
Yeah, he's coming on at the bottom of the hour.
Yeah, and
he'll give you the nuts and bolts on what actually happened. I'm just whining about what it's like to report on it.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted the 30,000-foot view. Each one gives way to the next, and we love you. And of course, as always, about once a month we'll have you on for the long form and get more into the nuts and the bolts and the details of all the stuff you guys are working on and cooking up. Jamie Jones is the managing editor of Landline. Thank you so much, my love, and we will talk at you soon.
All right, love you guys. Bye.
Of course, we now pivot and get a little music in here. Well, that's a little news music, though. That's not Rick Gobble, but I'll give him a little bit of breaking news kind of thing. We'll go with that. Dave, would you care to do the introduction for our good
dear friend, a longtime friend, Rick Gobble, is joining us now for the New World edition of Rick's Rules. And Rick, good morning, man. I'm not hearing Rick. Good morning, Rick. I'll keep saying that till I hear him. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Dave.
The third time is the charm. Okay, there's always one more button.
I was listening to you on radio there on this new setup. I really like that, Dave, and that's going to give us a whole lot more access to a whole lot more people. Matter of fact, I had not looked at it, and I apologize for that. I've been busy on some expert cases, but looks real good, sounds real good, and I'm excited for you about it.
Oh, well, thank you so much. We are excited, too. We were scared, and then that scared turns into really thrilled when we found out that the trucking world was kind of waiting for us here on all of these platforms. It's just amazing. So,
Well, I was always talking to my clients and my drivers that I go to safety meetings and things, but that the old format and the way you had to get into it, we just didn't have the access to the audience that I think we will. Just this very simple format. If you've got a cell phone, you can listen to us, and I think that's great. I think it's absolutely great, and I think it'll really expand what we're trying to get out to our trucking industry. There's all kind of information out there, as you well know. Some of it's pretty good, some of it isn't. And, I wish I knew how many times I inspected a truck or a driver, and he said, well, somebody told me I didn't have to do that, I said, well, when you get home, you might want to take that up with them,
on all of the new platforms and everything, we have a lot of old friends that are joining us here. We see them on our YouTube chat and everything. But there are new listeners, too, who are joining us every day. So I think it's only fair to let folks know where you're coming from, Rick, in terms of your career. Your highway career started about the same time that my radio career started. We go kind of back to the days of Todd Spencer with OOIDA, so we're from that school. But you started with a crawler under a truck with a flashlight back with ICC, FHWA, Federal Highway Administration, and then, of course, FMCSA. Give us the thumbnail biography, if you would, Rick.
Well, I think I just finished my 52nd year of commercial vehicle and highway safety work. The first 35 years was with the Tennessee Public Service Commission, checking trucks on side road when Tennessee Public Service Commission had that authority. I did that about 2.5 years. And all I ever wanted was one of them federal jobs, but that was kind of a path to it. And then I went to the Interstate Commerce Commission and went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was a 26-year-old district supervisor up there that nobody had ever seen anybody that young be a district supervisor. I was granting authority, and we was auditing CARES, and we was doing investigations on all kinds of commercial regulations.
Nobody ever heard anybody with that accent either, right?
Well, you know what? I always said the guys kind of laughed at me, but the women smiled.
You won that one. You won that one.
I didn't care about them guys. I didn't care, but you're right. That was quite an experience sitting in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and talking with a southern drawl. That's okay. It worked out real well. So I hung around there a couple of years, saw that they were trying to sunset the ICC. Senator Kennedy, his group, was trying to put us out of business at that time. So I kind of read the tea leaves. I transferred to the Federal Highway Administration in Nashville, Tennessee. I was trying to think what year that was. That was probably about 77, 78. And I worked for the Federal Highway Administration for 20-something years. And that wasn't all bad. I was talking to a guy the other day about concrete, and I learned that stuff at the Federal Highway, because we didn't build, but we made sure that the states built it to our specs. Now, I was on the truck safety side, but they was always making us come to these meetings and showing these videos and stuff. But you learn wherever you go. Learned a lot about how we what we call utility pole abatements, overpass viaducts, things of that nature. I think we saved probably more lives than we ever tried to save as safety people. But I did safety work, worked all kind of truck wrecks and did all kind of audits. And then they moved us in 2000 from the Federal Highway Administration to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. So I finished out my last 7 years with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety. But I retired thinking maybe I'd go fishing, play golf, do stuff like that. And I started getting these phone calls, wanting me to do this, do that, do this. And I have had one blessed business now for the last 18 years. No telling how many expert witness truck cases I've worked on. No telling how many people I got the rating upgraded. No telling how many thousand data queues I filed. And I just been so blessed. And me and my wife sometimes just sit and look at each other and say, I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Because you talk to other people that retired, and they hadn't done much, they fished and played golf or all that stuff is. But I've been so blessed. And I know that I have, but I had a lot of experience with that. But this latest thing, when I was with the agencies there for 27 years, the federal agencies, not counting the ICC and the PSC, but I saw these things rise and fall. And as I had to testify recently in a deposition, I was with the federal government, the Federal Highway Administration, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, when we started CDLs. You didn't even have to have a CDL. I could go up at 18 years old. I could go up to the courthouse and get what they called at that time a chauffeur's license, which allowed me to drive a truck, and cost me $4 or $5. It wasn't anything. Well, we had the big wreck with Walmart truck and found out the driver had 3 or 4 CDL, 3 or 4 driver's license. So we had CDL. Well, prior to that, after that, we had drug and alcohol testing came through. And I worked through that system. And then everything else, CSA, SMS, SafeStat, I was there when just about everything is in place today. I was there when we developed it, implemented it. That's the two things you got to do. One is you got to do it through regulations or through legislation, which makes regulation, which you got to now get it in to law or regulations, and then you got to get it over to state and get them to do the same thing through MIXAP. I was there when we developed MIXAP. I was with the Tennessee Public Service Commission and the Federal Highway Administration when I met Todd Spitzer, and that was when they first got really involved in this stuff. So that's kind of my history. But I thought, based on this latest thing about these work visas and these illegal people been getting CDLs, we had that when I was there. And I had this one truck driving school, and I'm not going to say where it was. I don't want to embarrass anybody. But they were bringing busloads of people in from foreign countries, putting them in a motel room, giving them a little bit of training, and getting them an CDL issued, and they were out the door in 2 weeks with a CDL. They were not American citizens. And I know one time because one thing we did when we set up CDL, the state started keeping real good databases on who they issued CDLs to. And I don't know how I got involved in it, but I got involved probably out of DC, told me to go down and look at that thing. We found at that particular school, we found 400 or 500 truck drivers that had an address, the same address. And that address was a motel there in that town that the school had bought and had a lot of rooms, and they would come in and they would set them up, take them over to the Tennessee Department of Safety driver's license section, start with, get them a driver's license, go back a day or two and get them a learner's permit for a CDL, and then in a couple of weeks they issue them a CDL and out the door, and they never changed their address. Well, that got to be a real big deal. We looked into it for a long time and threatened all kinds of stuff. Well, the next thing you know, nobody was talking about it anymore.
Yeah, ain't that always the way? Indeed.
Yeah, and I think that's what we've done with this CDL thing. And it wasn't 3 months, 4 months, 5 months ago. We said we're going to change this thing about you must be able to speak.
Yeah, the proficiency thing. Yeah, which has been in flux for a lot of years too. You know what? We can't talk anymore. We are out of time. That's the new format, so we got to get in the fast lane. Rick, man, thank you so much for giving us a little bit of that history, though. I think a lot of folks really are going to appreciate you a lot more next time you come visit with us.
Sounds good, buddy. Glad to talk to you. Take care.
Nemo Nation continues, by the way. Our next guest is up as we move through this rapid-fire, fast-paced world of trucking and transportation. Dave, would you do the honors?
Yes, sir. Mark Schwimmer, the senior editor of Landline Magazine, and online, of course, and somebody that Jamie Jones just spoke very highly of is joining us right now. Hey, Mark. Always a pleasure, man. Good morning.
Dave.
I'm sorry, Trucking Ray.
Yeah, the reason why we had that music, Ray and I were looking at each other. By the way, you jumped over. By the way, let's do that again. Hey, Trucking Ray, hold on a second. Dave crossed up half hours. That's okay. Try again, Dave.
Trucking Ray. Ray Lampkins is joining us, a professional driver and the founder of 3 Axle Coffee, a bold trucker-made brand fueling America's workforce, and the host of That's Delivered, the That's Delivered podcast, where he shares real stories from the road. And you've heard Ray right here before, and you've heard Mark here too, for that matter. But Ray, welcome back. I am sorry, didn't forget about you. I just got the wrong page in front of me here, but that's what they call me, wrong page Nemo.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave.
No. Thank you so much for having me on the show again, man. You guys are doing a great job. And that's just the way it goes with radio. You got to be ready for anything. So keep me on my toes. I love it. It's great to be back on the show.
It's great to
talk about
you.
The great things that are coming up. I'm really excited.
Well, speaking of That's Delivered, I listened to the edition of That's Delivered with Kim Hines with Pro Drivers. And Ray, I got to tell you, I'm not sure that both of us together could do the job she did, running through all the details and everything about the National Truck Driving Championships that just ended in Minneapolis. And then, of course, the 2025 convoy for Special Olympics. Well, we're going to give it a shot here because the NTDC just wrapped up, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did a great job. A lot of good winners. Big shout out to the grand champion, FedEx Freight, North Dakota, David Cummings. I favor UPS. So Miguel Sanchez, he did, the twins. So a lot of great guys came out and great guys and a lot of great people just being together, sharing the joy of being truck drivers. I think that's what's most important about all of it. Even if you didn't win, you came out and you showed up. So Kim Hines, yeah, she's a great lady. She does a lot of great things for the community. And like you said, I can't keep up with her, all the things that she's involved with. And man, yeah, big ups to her.
By the way, we're talking with Trucking Ray. You guys can go to that'sdelivered.com. You can find him on that, by the way, -s-delivered podcast on LinkedIn, and of course on YouTube at That Delivered Show. That Delivered Show. I want to kind of pivot here as well too, because we have a deep affection for people doing convoys in support of Special Olympics, in support of autism causes, in support of veterans. Let's talk about the Special Olympics convoy a little bit and why that is so important to kind of get behind.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's coming up, so please save the date on your calendar. It's going to be a program that's going to be on Friday, October 3rd. It's going to be live music by fabulous Del Count, and then Saturday, October 4th at the Running Aces Hotel in Minnesota. So that's going to be a 2-day event. A lot of companies can show up. It's going to be at the Running Aces Hotel. That's going to be 15201 Zurich Street in Columbus, Minnesota. I can get registered now. All you got to do is go online, type in Truck Convoy 2025 Minnesota fundraise.somn.org. What's nice about the convoys is a 2-day celebration of the truck industry that supports and raises money for the awareness for Special Olympics in Minnesota. All you got to do is pay the registration fee. I think it's $150. So what's nice about it is the community can get involved, see how trucks play a part in helping the Special Olympics. And like Kim Hines brought out on the episode, there's people that are going to be showing up, waiting for that to take off at 10 a.m., the official departure. And you're going to have a lot of the athletes there. They're going to have these trucks lined up. But you can't really celebrate if you don't participate. So a lot of companies, be great if you can get lined up now, get registered, save that date, and the community will be involved. It'll be a good time to rally them on,
Ray, I believe this is a new kickoff spot, right? The Running Aces. That's new this year, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they do change it up. So yeah, sometimes it's at a different location. So this will be great to see because they got a great place that they can, get together in the back. Great parking lot, great location. It's a beautiful site. So I think it's going to go good.
Got it. Going back to the championships there, were you actually there in the building, so to speak?
This time I wasn't able to make it. Unfortunately, I had to. I was on the road. But yeah, I heard from a lot of great people there, and I really wish I could have attended.
Oh, it's a killer, isn't it, Ray? I got to tell you, I've been the last 3 years, and this is the first year I haven't been there in 3 years. The fourth year I couldn't make it. It is so much fun, isn't it? I want to encourage people, and you can do this too, by the way, because you've been to these as well as I have, really encourage people that even if they aren't in the finals, that they should go, and if they have an opportunity to go see this, it's really incredible, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, I was there last year, and man, it's so much fun. You get to see the skills of a driver, you get to see the appreciation of the industry, and it's a great time to rally each other on. Nothing but good, positive things I've heard come out of it.
Ray, I got time for one more question. Of course, people know you from your podcast, and that always has episodes coming up. Guys, on YouTube, you can find them on That Delivered Show. What can we expect from you soon?
Oh, yeah. We got a great show lined up. We're going to hear from Uber Freight, also Truckers Against Trafficking. We have Micah Larson, does a great job talking about the exhibit.
He does.
Friend of this show. We love Mike.
Indeed.
Anybody's a friend of Mike is a friend of ours, Ray. That's really awesome. So who else you got coming up?
Awesome guy. Yeah, he's great. We have quite a few other episodes I got lined up. I'm really happy to be a part of it all, sharing the stories. These people really are the stars of the trucking industry. I even kind of spiced it up with some other things in case people want to learn about some things like, FBA, Facebook fulfillment, not Facebook, Amazon fulfillment with, you got Neil Twa, even got some great people that talk about health aspects. So like the new design that they came out for patches of stem cell activation. So a lot of truckers dealing with healthcare. We got Joe Fazio. He's a Notre Dame tight end. He talks about that. So yeah, quite a few things lined up. Keep it exciting. Love to have the guests on the show, talk about what they're passionate about. So yeah, I love it.
Listen to this, by the way. I'm just going to show you what kind of fun we have over here. Later on today, I'm taping an interview for one of our later shows with the host of Baseball and Barbecue. So I'm looking forward to that. We're looking forward to see what else you got cooking for us, Trucking Ray. Thank you for always making time. You've always got a platform here, our friend.
Indeed.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And we'll say hi to Mike Schwemmer for you, too.
We'll be back on the other side of this. Nemo Nation continues. Mark Schwemmer is coming up. Jay Hosty, Janet Jarvis, Kevin Hawley, Mike McHorse, and, of course, Jane Jazrower with The Future Was Yesterday. Go to ShadyRays.com, folks. They got your back. Thank you, Dave. Dave has left the building. He'll be back.
Get $25 off on your next preventive maintenance service. Stop by TA Truck Service and save when you choose Castrol oil and a Fleet Guard oil filter. Now through September 30, 2025. Enjoy premium performance with trusted brands. Castrol, protection for the long haul guaranteed. Fleet Guard, run cleaner longer with filtration science. Our ASE certified technicians are ready to deliver expert preventive maintenance and more. TA Truck Service, Castrol, Fleet Guard, your partners in preventive maintenance.
The Joshua Chamberlain Society is unlike any other veterans organization. It's truly a family, and I know that firsthand from working with them myself. Their mission is to make wounded veterans and families of deceased veterans feel the support and appreciation of their community for life. Our veterans' injuries are permanent, and so is the JCS support. From monetary assistance like paying utility bills or college funds to helping our heroes find purpose, JCS is a family that surrounds and supports the heroes who have sacrificed so much. Learn more and make your donation at chamberlainsociety.org. That's chamberlainsociety.org.
Exceptional value and exceptional values. That's Bennett Trucking. A core commitment of faith, family, and freedom has driven Bennett to being the leading provider of innovative, integrated transportation solutions, both at home and abroad. Bennett's values are not just compatible with providing high-paying jobs and unmatched customer service. They're inseparable. If you're looking for an employer or a partner who believes the best business model is being a model citizen, then Bennett Trucking is the place for you. Go to BennettIG.com and find the folks who share your values.
Buckle up, because we're merging back into traffic on Radio Nemo's Nemo Nation.
Amen. And we're rolling, doing all that stuff.
Hi, friends.
Thank you very much, Phone Master Dre. Let's get that reporter's music set up again because we have another ink-stained wretch headed our way. But, when you feel like it, just let it rip. Oh, there we go. Dave, would you care to do the actual honors this time?
This just in. Landline Senior Editor Mark Schwemmer on the scene here on Radio Nemo live streaming this Monday morning. Good morning, Mr. Schwemmer.
Woo! Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate that intro. That's like a childhood dream there.
I know we always, when Claire kind of composed that, Mark, I said, basically listen to the CBS News stinger, and my wife went, yeah, I got it. I'll come back, and literally composed that based off of that. You remember that, Dave? Yeah. Mark Schwemmer is here on the scene, man. We have a conversation that's actually kind of unfolding. Dave, take it away.
Oh, yes. Wow. I'll tell you what I'm going to do here is run through a timeline that is not 50 years long, like most of the timelines we talk about, like parking. So here we go. The now infamous Florida crash happened on Monday, August 18. OOIDA asks Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy to suspend states' authorities to issue non-domiciled CDLs for interstate commerce. Then on Thursday, August 21, OOIDA sent letters to 43 governors, each asking each state to stop giving out new non-domiciled CDLs until problems with the program can be addressed. On that same day, last Thursday, ICE picks up the driver's brother who was in the country illegally. And then on the next day, Friday, this past Friday, the State Department, of all departments, releases Rubio's statement, and we are putting the kibosh on those CDLs. Thanks not most, but thanks, not great, but thanks, period, to OOIDA for this. But wow, you couldn't make this up. I mean, this is made for TV movie stuff. The brother thing is like a bonus. I'm not trying to be funny here, but wow. When things happen, they happen all at once sometimes, and this is it, huh?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Here at Landline, you talk about going back timeline 50 years. Landline magazine is having its 50th anniversary year, and we're kind of starting to get ready for our October issue, which will kind of commemorate the 50 years of Landline in that issue. And so all the work kind of went on that. But then last week, with everything that happened, everything obviously pivoted to so much news that kept on coming out about the crash, coming about the details. Obviously, like you mentioned, association wrote a letter to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, and then to the 43 governors that currently issue non-domicile CDLs. But yeah, it seems like every moment we're getting more details on this. Obviously, there's been kind of a political pushback between what you're getting out of DHS and DOT versus what California governors saying, all of that sort of stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of noise associated with this, but I think the big part in OIDA's take on it is this should all be about safety, all about creating great barriers to getting a CDL, regardless of your background. The true professional truck drivers to be able to, the ones that I talk to all the time that have gone, 1 million miles with no crashes, it's real skill to do that. And we need as many of those type of drivers as we can, so we make sure when they first enter the industry and get that CDL, that it's somebody who's been properly trained and has the skills that they need to be successful and be safe.
Safety is, to me, and I'm going back through, again, pretty much the same 50 years that you guys are going through. Safety is one of those umbrella words where when you're in trouble, you just duck under the safety umbrella, and we talk about how safety is the most important thing, and through the decades, in my experience, like safety meetings. How do you have a safety meeting at a factory? Well, that's pretty easy. You just do it at lunchtime, and everybody's in the cafeteria. Okay, how do you do it with trucking? Well, every once in a while, somebody will come into the office. But then we had the cassette tapes, and the cassette tapes started going out. In other words, what I'm trying to get at is that safety is a real thing for the industry. It is the basis. It's the core of the existence of the industry, because forget the commerce. If you're not safe, the commerce doesn't get there anyway. So what's the difference? You might as well not have trucks if they're not going to be safe. And then the people who drive the trucks are people, and all of that gets balled into it. But I think what happens in trucking is that we preach safety, safety, safety on issues that don't seem to be directly related to safety. So we're accused of pulling the safety card out every time somebody, hiccups on the highway. It's like, oh, that's a safety issue. We got to do something about it. Well, it's not really a safety issue. We'll have to do some research on that. And then 3 years later, you find out it is a safety issue. Now we got to do research on how to address the safety issue that we should have addressed 3 years ago. I mean, I'm talking in circles, but I think we are living in circles. It's frustrating, and I'm going to turn it over to you now.
So no, I totally agree with you, and I think the thing that so I don't have obviously as much experience and background as yourself, or
you will
as Landline as the magazine.
Will.
But I've been here 10 years.
Okay, you've only got 40 more. You'll make it. You'll make it. What I'm saying is that's look. So. I'm not. You see, that's the other problem. I've been sitting on the sidelines on the side of the road for 50 years watching what's going on and maybe trying to pick up some of it, so I'm not an expert in any means. Just being around long enough doesn't count for much at all. But what I'm saying is that this crap has been going on for as long as I've been around, and that's a long time. So again, let me give it back to you.
Yeah, no, 100%. But the thing when I did start 10 years ago that was shocking to me, I had a journalism background. I'd worked at regional newspapers in Missouri and Kansas and that sort of thing before that. But when I came over to here, I remember at that time there was some of the news that Jamie Jones' stories she was working on at the time was about entry level driver training rule, and I thought, oh, okay, they must be beefing that up or whatever. And then I realized, no, this is the first time that they're going to have a rule, and that was so shocking to me. And what I've always kind of said, if you were to start, if like you said, we use this word safety all the time, and I feel like if I was going to start a government agency today for trucking, what's the way that we could ensure safety the most? I would think it would all start with making sure that the people that you're giving CDLs to, that you're putting behind the wheel of these 80,000-pound trucks, are as equipped and as well trained as possible to put them in a position for success. And instead, it seems like the safety are about like these kind of weird regulations sometimes about what color a tape is on certain things, and all the gadgets that we can try to put on to try to alleviate. It's like we want to make it easier for somebody to get behind the wheel, but then we want to cover it up with all these gadgets and all of this. So I feel like that's the thing. If we want to talk about safety, let's start with the core issue. And I think the best thing that you can do is the person that has that CDL is somebody who is skilled, who really should be behind a truck. It's like, with anything that we have, I mean, if I'm going to hire somebody to be my plumber, they better not like screw up everything in the house, or electrician, better not start a fire. They better know what they're doing. And we should, and this is not just about, it is about safety, but it's also, we need to protect the people that we're giving these CDLs to. We need to put them in a position so that they're not, we're just setting them up for really possibly a catastrophe. So we need to do that. That's what I think is that we need to start with the core principles and the building blocks, and that starts with a well-trained driver.
Yeah, and we need to avoid a diploma mill. And the other thing I wanted to ask you both, and I'll start with Mark, do you think this is the logical end, the final end of a lot of what happened during deregulation? The idea that we've made it so much easier and easier and easier over the 50 years that deregulation really begins, which is around the mid-70s, 75, 76, when President Carter begins to deregulate the industry. Do you think this is the logical, the promised end of where we'd end up, where we have too many people who don't have either what I would call the background training or the actual training, and now we've got just people out there on the road who think they're qualified to drive trucks and aren't?
Well, I think that's an interesting question. I do, one of the things that I know is that you look back of, since deregulation, since 1980, the type of situation that where the salaries have not kept up with inflation whatsoever of drivers. So it does seem there's obviously a lot of issues there where, if you pay a high salary for any profession, you're going to be able to, the cream's going to rise to the top. There's going to be a lot of competition for those jobs, and they're only going to go to the most skilled, the most trained, those sort of thing. But we've had the salaries drop to the point where a lot of people that might have been a truck driver before chose to do other jobs. Or we see the turnover rates at large carriers, when it's exceeding over 100%, and, somebody would go, well, maybe I'll just do construction instead, or do this job that's sort of related to it instead. I think you see that happen quite often. And if you look back to not to dodge your question too much, but it kind of starts where you look at from 1980 to now, where that's gone salary-wise, and I think there's a connection there, I'm sure.
Deregulation, do you think economically then it's a devaluation of the job itself? Not the people in the job, but the job itself has been devaluated. The rule of unintended consequences at play.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to be an economist or even as far as knowing all of the history of everything. I was born in 1978, so we're going back to 1980. There, it's hard for me to know for sure everything that plays into part of it, but I definitely think that's at least there's definitely some signs that point to those indicators there, that is part of it, because why have those salaries not kept up with inflation? Why are turnover rates so high? And I think there are a ton of factors there, but to act like that it has absolutely nothing to do with deregulation, I think would be difficult to believe as well. Obviously, that was a key point on the timeline for anybody. And if we're going to trucking, the history of trucking, that's going to be a key point on anybody's timeline.
For sure. Hey, I don't pretend to be an economist either, but I do go to the grocery store, if you know what I mean. I enjoyed doing it. You enjoyed hearing it. And Ten Ring said the open for your segment here this morning. He says, that sounds like the roving reporter section of Ray Stevens' The Streak. That's great. That's a compliment. Mark, thank you so much. And you deserve every nice thing that Jamie Jones said about you. The piece is called Administration to Halt Work Visas for Truck Drivers, Rubio says. You can go to landline.media. And then just look at the news there, and you'll see that and the other stories that you and everybody is working on over there at Landline now. So, wow, thank you so much for being part of what we do around here, man. It's not devalued.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Thank you, and have a great week.
Thank you, sir. Hey, Nemo Nation continues here, fast pace, moving at you at speed of light. Speaking of speed of light, our good friend Jane Jezraoui will be here at the conclusion of the mid 2 hours before we go to the final post-trip moment. And we're going to be at the speed of light then, because with Jane Jezraoui, we'll talk about science fiction movies and how they've impacted transportation over the years. Dave, would you care to do the honors and introduce our next guest?
We are going to talk with a young man who started listening to the Road Gang before the internet was even invented. Jay Hosty is with us. Jay, good morning, man.
Good morning, Dave Nemo.
Well, let me ask first off, where you at? Where you at right now?
I am sitting in a McDonald's in Grantsville, Maryland.
We were talking about McDonald's a little bit. Is it one of those great, colorful ones with the playground, or is it one of those gray ones that looks like, I don't know, the Gray Bar Hotel?
Yep, more like that.
Oh, goodness.
But it's a pretty day outside, and the temperature's probably about 65 degrees. It's very comfortable.
All right. Well, that's 65 degrees ain't bad. I was telling my wife this week. We have a new air conditioner that tells you what the temperature is outside. And I think it was like, I don't know, it was like 5 in the morning. And I said, man, it's only 80 degrees outside. She says, what do you mean only 80 degrees? It says, last week it was 95 at this time, So you take what you can get. Yeah. So why are we talking to you this morning? We are thrilled to do that. And I've been waiting since March to do this. We are talking to you about something that you and I are going to be attending. Well, I'll be attending. You'll be there under another umbrella. The Citizen Driver Naming Ceremony for your TA, Travel Centers of America at Slidell, Louisiana. The J. Hosty Travel Center. That is super It is to me, it is one of the most meaningful awards in trucking because, yeah, you're a great driver. Everybody that has been nominated and has been selected have all been wonderful drivers within the industry itself. But this award goes beyond the industry. And that's when Tom O'Brien came up with this idea when he was the CEO at TA Petro. The award was established, and the idea of it was so encompassing. Nothing was left out. And I can't think of anybody who was more deserving than you and all of the other folks who have been there. The group of judges take it super seriously. Well, let's go back to your beginning. Well, we were talking about you a little bit earlier because you and I kind of got acquainted long distance, so to speak, even though you were here in New Orleans. You over in Mississippi. You live in Mississippi now, but you from New Orleans here.
Yeah.
You started listening to the show like a lot of kids did. With that radio in your bedroom under your pillow when you were a teenager. What kind of brought you to the trucking thing with Charlie Douglas?
Well, I knew I wanted to be a truck driver, and I don't know how I stumbled on to the radio show, but being from the New Orleans area, WWL was all, that was popular with TV and AM radio, and like I say, I just started listening, and at that time I think the show was at midnight to 5 a.m.
11 to 5.
Okay. Well, mainly on weekends I would listen, and I remember you being Charlie. I'd say the sidekick to Charlie Douglas, or you were doing the weekend shows and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just got into that truck driving music, and it's still, I still like the old truck driving music. That's what I choose to listen to for truck driving songs. But yeah, it just got a hold of me, and then I was actually riding with a guy, and this was about 1978. I would ride with this fella that I met, and I'd call into the show. We wasn't on the road. I'd be at home. But I would use like his truck. I'd say I'm leased to Ryder. I would be filling in like I was him.
Yeah.
That
is fun.
What is really fun too, Dave, wanted to kind of point this out, is that the stop that you've picked, that one in Slidell that many people are aware of, is not just one you've picked because it's in your hood. It's got real nostalgic and sentimental value to you.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes. Because at that same time, as a teenager, 17, 18 years old, my girlfriend at the time, Kat, who is my wife now of 43 years, I'm proud to say, we would go out there and we had my mother's car. It was a little Datsun station wagon, a B210 Datsun station wagon.
Yeah.
Yep. We used to open the hatchback and sit back there and look at the trucks coming in. And that whole area, that parking lot, now it's all still the same,
It is, yeah.
And you can, they never really changed a whole lot, but the trucks that I'd see that I liked, we'd go run in the back and watch them back in, and then I'd take pictures of them. So that was our little weekend thing that we would do sometimes.
Yeah, you and I have a lot in common that you probably don't know this, but you lost a lot of your photos in Hurricane Katrina. I lost a lot of my photos in the May flood in 2010 up in Nashville. So we've lost photos to water in two different places at two different times, but but you still have some, I think. Yeah. I remember Gary Salisbury is one of the few people that I've ever met who never drove a company truck. He started his truck driving career as an owner-operator. And I don't quite remember, did you actually start with your own truck, or did you drive a company truck for a short time?
Nope. Started
That's what I
with my
thought.
own.
Yeah.
Yep. at 19 years old, my wife Kat actually spotted this little truck for sale. When I say a little truck, it was a little single axle day cab truck.
Mm-hmm.
And she spotted it somewhere in Chalmette, where we lived at the time, Chalmette, Louisiana. And she said, "You got to see this little truck. It's a cute little truck, and it's for sale." And I had no plans on buying a truck at that time. I figured I'd be driving for somebody to get experience, and then I'd buy a truck eventually.
Sure.
And sure, we went and looked at that little truck, and that man told me, I said, "I'm only 19 years old. How am I going to work for anybody?" And he said, "Oh, I have contacts. If you buy the truck, I can help you get you going." And long story short, I had to pay for my own public liability insurance, but all I did was run around the city of New Orleans moving empty containers. And
oh yeah,
I
that's
paid for my
real
own.
easy to do. By the way, that's a cush job running containers around New Orleans.
Yeah.
Wow,
Well,
baptism by fire, right there.
That's how I cut my teeth at 19 years old. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I just knew it's what I wanted to do, and I seen that, hey, I could make some money at this compared to work. I was working at the time for $4.25 an hour, I think it was, at a building materials company. You might be familiar with them, Campbell's Building Materials.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, I was driving a straight truck for them locally, just delivering building materials. And when I got that little truck going, I was making way more money than $4.25 an hour, and I thought, this is the way to go right here.
Ah, yeah. Because when I was in high school and college, I was making $2 an hour on the river on the American commercial barge lines, and I was making good money. So yeah, you were
Wow.
doing that. 4 was good, but the owner operatorship was awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
We're only got about 3 more minutes here, and we could talk forever, and we'll get a chance to talk for a bit this coming Saturday. We'll be there. I'm not going to ask you how you feel, because to me that's an unanswerable question. But are you looking forward to this? Has it been in your mind since Mid-America?
Oh yes, very much so. But I have to say I'm most honored that you're going to be there. That means the world to me that you're going to make it. So I appreciate you coming very much.
Oh, I would not miss it, and thank you for that. Hey, listen, I also want to mention, too, Jamie Jones and Mark Schremer were just on us from OOIDA, and, of course, Trucking with OOIDA. We host them here on all of the platforms, and you have a great deal of relationship with OOIDA. You're a lifetime member, have been for a long time, but you're also the OOIDA Safe Driver Award winner, the Landstar Million Miler, Overdrive Magazine's 2024 Trucker of the Year. You are involved with St. Christopher and Trucker's Final Mile, and of course ATHS. We got a chance to spend some time up in York, Pennsylvania last year, you and Tara and myself up there. So let me just say congratulations and thank you for being the guy you are and the driver you are and the business person you are, because guys like you elevate everything. And we can't wait to get over to the old Slidell Union 76. Yeah, I was telling the story a little bit earlier this morning that place was the first sponsor of trucking radio ever. The Slidell Union 76, and of course it's the TA now, Travel Centers of America, but it's the same place, and I think the same spirit, same layout, and everything. So we won't get lost when we get over there.
No, not at all, not at all.
Well, Jay,
and hey, I'd like to give credit to my wife, Kat, very much for standing by me for 43 years. Dave, she's the woman behind the man behind the wheel.
Just like the song says. All right.
Yes,
in fact,
sir.
On the next edition of Nemo's Night Beat, I'm going to play that song in honor of Kat.
Oh, that'd be great.
Where are you heading to now? When you leave McDonald's?
I'm about 45 minutes away from a delivery just south of Cumberland, Maryland. I'm going to unload there, and then I have to reload in Butler, Pennsylvania, which is about 2 or 3 hours away. And I will be heading down to Crystal Springs, Mississippi to deliver probably Thursday. And then I'll go home from there.
Fantastic.
Lifetime OIDA member, citizen driver, friend of the show, and in possession of an accent that I absolutely adore because it's mine as well, although I'm from the Irish Channel. Jay Hosty has joined us this morning. Thank you, sir, and congratulations on all your success.
Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
Nemo Nation continues on the other side of this break. More guests coming your way, including Jana Jarvis, Kevin Hawley, and Mike McHorse. And the future was yesterday. We'll be right back. Go to ShadyRays.com and look as cool as the other side of the pillow. They've got you back at ShadyRays.com.
Okay, you've heard the horror stories of how folks have lost their life savings when the market tanks. Is there a way to invest and make money without risk? Believe it or not, yes. Since 1995, Americans who cannot afford to lose their investments have used fixed index annuities. You get guaranteed income and protection from market downturns. It's a win-win for you and your future. And to learn more, dial pound 250. Use the keyword Truckers Wealth to get in touch with them today.
The mission of Wreaths Across America is unwavering, remembering our fallen heroes, honoring those who are currently serving, along with their families, and most importantly, teaching the next generation about the value of freedom. And you can join our mission with a $17 donation that sponsors a fresh Maine Balsam Remembrance Wreath. Each wreath will be laid in honor of a veteran who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. To sponsor your wreath, please visit wreathsacrossamerica.org. That's wreathsacrossamerica.org.
17 Sapp Brothers Travel Centers are known for great food, hospitality, and mom-approved showers and restrooms. But don't forget the service centers. Sapp Brothers ASE certified technicians can repair nearly any issue in shop or roadside, including axle repair. Dig into your free steak dinner with your oil change. That's a Sapp Brothers tradition to thank you for your business. Tires? Sapp Brothers will beat any competitor's advertised price on tires. And download the Sapp Brothers app for exclusive promotions in the shop, restaurant, and store. Your spot under the coffee pot is waiting for you at Sapp Brothers.
Live from the I-10 corridor from the Fastport Studios in the city of New Orleans, it's Nemo Nation.
We are live, and this is Nemo Nation with Dave, Nemo, and Jimmy Mack. Hello, fellas.
Hey, man. You know where we are, right, Dave?
We are in the I don't know
you're in the right direction.
We're in the Store Dugout House.
And these studios are named
the
after
Fastport Studios, yeah.
They've been solving America's toughest recruiting and workforce challenges. They do it through research, technology, and people. From registered apprenticeships to veteran readiness, you can learn more at fastport.com or nationalapprenticeship.org. We'll be starting a journey with them sooner rather than later as we follow their transition trucking, driving for excellence with their partners at the Chamber, and, of course, Kenworth Trucks, who donates that amazing assets, 160, 170, who knows, maybe 180, 200,000, given the way prices are going these days, asset in that T680 truck. Taxes paid.
I had a chance to tour that truck up at Fort Campbell, Kentucky last year.
What a great experience
Yeah.
that was. I remember because I was in Sao Paulo, by the way. You had to go to that because I was on my, we
were slip seating.
It was my first vacation in a couple of years, and Dre actually hadn't had one in longer than that. That's why he finally got a chance to go to Sturgis. Very cool. I'm wearing my Sturgis T-shirt from our good friend Chowda. But, the Pacific Northwest is a place that is near and dear to my heart.
It is.
I went to the University of Washington, along with the University of Georgia. By the way, guys, I didn't change universities. I actually finished every place I went. But I have I love the state of Oregon. And by the way, since we love the state of Oregon, why don't you introduce our Oregonian?
We are heading there right now. Jana Jarvis is joining us. Jana is the president and CEO of the Oregon Trucking Association. Jana, good morning and welcome. And thanks for getting up early. I know it's a little early out there.
It's early.
Good morning, Dave. Yes, it is a little early, so hopefully my brain will work.
85 tax forms on the wall. 85 tax forms on the wall. Take one down and fill it out. 84 tax. That was a joke, but it's based on truth because it's funny because it's true, as Homer Simpson would say. We're talking about some good news lately for trucking vis-a-vis the federal government and some things that have been going on here lately. Something really good has happened up there in the state of Oregon, too, in terms of how taxes are being accumulated. And that 85 is a significant number that I'll let you explain. So just jump in and where you want and kind of pull us along with you here, because it's a little complicated, but at the same time, it's kind of simple too. Is that a kind of a place to start?
Sure. Yeah, it is a little complicated. Oregon is the only state in the nation that still relies on the weight mile tax that was instituted in the 1930s. All the other states moved away from weight mile taxes in the 80s and 90s, but Oregon didn't. And not only, we have 87 different tax rates, and it's very complicated, very expensive to administer, both for the state and for the carrier. And we have been trying to change that for the last 2 or 3 decades. And so this year, with our transportation package that was supposed to pass, I got language inserted in it that would move us away from the weight mile tax as it is today and move us into a diesel tax. And I don't think we can raise quite enough money to meet our obligation with the diesel tax, so we were going to do a supplemental simplified weight mile tax with only 10 different rates. So it was a great piece of legislation, but unfortunately, it all blew up on the last day of session, and session ended without any transportation package. A couple of weeks. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. I was just going to say something here to our non-trucking listeners, and we have a lot of folks who have been with us for a long time, not truckers. When you said, well, we've been working on this for 2 or 3, they would have immediately filled in the blank and said 2 or 3 years. You said 2 or 3 decades. We've been talking about that in other areas. Yeah, when trucking has a problem, it's not a yearly, it doesn't take a year to fix it. It takes a decade or more to fix it. So anyway, that being said, there's that bit of frustration there. So what's going to happen now? I mean, is it back to the actual starting point, back to the drawing board here?
Well, a couple of weeks after our session ended, our governor announced that we would have a special session on August 29th, and that we were just going to institute a 6-cent gas tax. She was going to keep a very simplified plan, because ODOT was going to have to lay off about 500 of their employees if they didn't get some kind of additional revenue. And so as she was moving this through the process, people started wanting their pieces put into the bill. And of course, I worked on that as well. And so you asked me what was special about last week. Last week, I got the governor to agree to put our language in the bill that will modernize our taxing system that I had in the original transportation package this year. So we're very excited about that.
So basically, it all looked good, and then it all looked like it was destroyed, and then you were able to pick up the pieces, get with the governor, and it's all, as far as trucking is concerned, it's all good again.
Well, it is, but it still has to pass. We have
Ah,
to show up. Everybody has to show up, and we have to get the votes. Democrats have the 2/3 majority that they need so they could pass it on their own. But the governor is certainly hoping that some of the Republicans will support this package as well. And this is kind of turning into a campaign issue. A lot of the Republicans are saying, we're trying to raise taxes when everybody is struggling. And so I think this will be part of their campaign next year when they're rerunning for office.
yes. So trucking is going to be in sort of a unique position then. And we don't really get into politics on the show here, Jana, as you well understand. But this is politics does happen, and we all live with it, whether we like to or not. So trucking is going to be in a kind of a unique position in this next race, then it seems.
I think so, yes. Yeah, there's politics in everything. We always talk about we don't like politics, but it's in everything in your life. So there certainly is politics in this as well. But
I mean, the fact that human beings are relating, Jana, means there's going to be politics involved. I'll let Dave get you the next question. We want to give people a quick reminder that Jana Jarvis is the president and CEO of the Oregon Trucking Association. You can find them at ortrucking.org. You can find them on the Book of Face at ortrucking.org. And you can find them on the gram of Insta at ortrucking. It's really simple and clean and nicely done. Dave, go ahead. Continue.
Yes. It's interesting, too, that in terms of the vehicle miles tax, the VMT, Oregon was the first state to put the little stickers, I guess, on the cars that you scan those to get your tax rates going. And a lot of states have tried that and failed. Oregon keeps that going. That is an issue. But you almost have to ask now in terms of anything with wheels and that's being taxed. Where are electric vehicles in this mix in terms of paying their share? I guess is the way to put that. And is there a holdback or any pushback about electric vehicles on the tax issue and on the environmental issue, because that's always linked now?
You're exactly right about there being issues with it. The environmental community has been fighting the idea that electric vehicles should have to be taxed by the mile, but we do have a road user charge that's going to come into existence for electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids over the next 5 to 7 years. And so that is part of this package, and it's important because you're right, they use the roads. And they haven't been contributing. We have increased their registration fees a bit, but it doesn't compensate for the lost revenue from fuel taxes that they would have paid. And so we're trying to equalize that a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't usually stay very engaged in that part of the discussion because if you think about it, I'm actually trying to move us away from that system. And so at the end of the day, trucking's going to rely on diesel for years to come, and it's really important for us to be part of IFTA and be able to see who's traveling through our state. We don't have any way now to really check for compliance if somebody's evading the weight mile tax, and so we build those costs right into the rates that our compliant carriers have to pay.
Yeah.
ODOT thinks there's about 10% evasion, and so they add 10%.
Yeah. If you can't get it from Peter, get it from Paul, right? Yeah.
Exactly, yes.
Jana, we do this rapid fire, rapid pace. Promise us you'll come back as these stories develop. We really appreciate you making your time, especially, by the way, as somebody who spends a lot of his time in California, for waking up at the crack of doom and actually being coherent. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh, thank you, Jana. Jana Jarvis, everybody.
You can find these stories, by the way, on the Oregonian, Willamette Week, the Salem Statesman Journal. A lot of stuff in the Pacific Northwest is carrying this. Go to ortrucking.org to find out more about this as Nemo Nation continues to roll along. And Dave, take us away into our next guest.
I'll tell you what, we are going to go to another great association, the Wyoming Trucking Association. Kevin Hawley is the president and CEO, became president last summer, but came from a different type of background. But in a sense, he's kind of doing the same thing, only different. He was in Casper, Wyoming, he was the executive director of the Casper Downtown Development Authority. He worked to revitalize downtown Casper with the David Street Station. And if you hear the term David Street Station, even though today is the anniversary of Lionel Cowan, who founded Lionel Electric Trains, David Street Station is not a train station, and it's not a bus station. It's something completely different. And we'll ask Kevin what that is in just a minute, and then we'll talk about some of the issues he's working with the Wyoming Trucking Association. Welcome to the show, Kevin. Thank you so much for being with us, and good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. So, yeah, kind of an odd story how a guy with a construction and development background gets into the trucking industry, but it's been a year, and I'm sort of not drinking from the fire hose anymore, but it's been a challenge, but it's been great.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, all of the things that you used to build stuff came on those trucks too. So you've been part and parcel of trucking probably more than, well, I'm sure you know that. Of course, I'm not, telling you anything you don't know. But, when I read about you and the David Street Station, I actually envisioned an old school, maybe old time train station that was going to be maybe a museum. But this is something else, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of goofy. So my job back then was much like I'm doing now. I represented some constituents and members within the downtown district. And our job was to make downtown better than, today and tomorrow than it was yesterday and the days before. So that's what I did. I talked to the property owners, the merchants, and we say, how do we revitalize this downtown? And through that, we looked around the country and we saw some examples of these event-driven public plazas. At the time, when I got hired, I said, I'm not a president or a CEO. I'm just a regular guy. I got a construction background. I know how to do that. Well, they happened to want to build things. I knew how to build things. So they said, let's go. And we ended up building a spectacular events-driven public plaza right in the heart of our downtown that kind of bridged the central business district and the up-and-coming kind of commercial district. And it worked really well. So through that, I did that for a decade. And oddly enough, someone that I worked with that always donated their services was a trucking company in Casper, and they bring their heavy-duty cranes and help us put, the 40-foot community Christmas tree up. And I think that gentleman knew I was getting tired, a little beat up, burned out. And he said, hey, would you ever consider doing this? We've got a retirement coming up with my predecessor, Sheila, had been there 48 years. I said, I don't know anything about the trucking industry. He said, we know the trucking industry. We need someone like you to help re-energize and take the lead and get us back. And I said, what the heck, let's try it. So here I am, totally engrossed in trucking now.
Fantastic. Well, we're glad to have you. Let's talk about some of the things that we should be talking about here, Kevin. And we'll start off with the Rocky Mountain Regional Safety Rendezvous that was held in Cody. Obviously, Wyoming, then Montana, Idaho, Utah, Colorado. Erica Denny with Colorado DOT is with us quite a bit here on the program, talking about the mountain rules and everything there in Colorado specifically. But what are some of the things that you guys talk about at the RMRSR? The Rocky Mountain Regional
it's a
Safety.
mouthful, right?
Yeah, all right.
RMSR. We definitely have some unique challenges in the Mountain West. So specifically in Wyoming, I don't know if you've been out here, but 80-mile-an-hour winds in Florida is a hurricane. That's just a Tuesday out here in Wyoming.
Oh, man,
so,
yeah. And, they finally, one of the things that I have been doing radio for over 50 years, trucking radio. So when it comes to Colorado, Interstate 80 is closed due to high winds if you are a light, high-profile vehicle. But they never told you how light. And finally,
so
they wound up
now.
doing that. Yeah, finally. So there's that. Yeah, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so we talked about, the blowover issues in Wyoming, and YDOT was there to present, the tech that they're using and the data that's being collected and how the different slopes and degrees of the road and this profile of truck compared to this profile of truck. So it was really interesting. We've got some potential issues on I-80, well, all over, but I-80 with some of those storms and closures with some towing issues and predatory towing. So we talked about the process. Our guys in Wyoming know the process, but any out-of-state carriers that are coming through and may have an issue and want to dispute some challenges with towing. We certainly talked about English language proficiency. We did a lot of, we partnered with our community colleges here that are fantastic in the state of Wyoming. We went up to Northwest College and we did some AI and some tech training. And last but not least is something that we talk about ad nauseum is, insurance and risk mitigation. So these are safety professionals and taking care of their fleets and their people and keeping them running. So insurance is something we talk about nonstop.
Since they put the parameters in terms of, under 40,000, under 50,000 pounds on the blowover thing, have we got any usable data yet in terms of how effective that has been?
Yes. And I hate to say that I don't know the exact number, but I can tell you it's been dramatically impactful on reducing the blowovers and closures.
Wow.
I can tell you what was it, last February, I was driving down from Casper to Cheyenne, our capital, for the legislative session. And it was one of those days, and I counted 8 blowovers just in a 20-mile section there north of Cheyenne. So it's challenging, and they ended up closing down the road, but it's certainly something that we face here, those unique challenges, and that ties back into those dynamic message boards that you brought up, 45,000, 55,000 close to high-profile vehicles and defining it. But again, the dynamic signs changing and English language proficiency, we've got some unique challenges out here in the Mountain West with chain laws and doing some certain things. So one of the things I appreciated about that event was not only bringing the trucking industry together, but bringing our counterparts in law enforcement and just having candid conversations and learning. A lot of times we just get stuck in our tunnel vision of this is how I do things and why I do things, but understanding the other side of the story too. So it was great to talk to those folks from all over the Rocky Mountains and get their perspective as well.
We'd love to have you back. I just got the 30-second mark signal, Kevin, but we just talked to Janet Jarvis, our friend over at Oregon, about the restructuring of the diesel tax there with the weight mile simplification and diesel tax modernization. You guys have some taxing issues as well in terms of declining fuel receipts. Let's get you back to kind of walk through some of that. And also, I hate to even say this, tolling on I-80, it was defeated, but that was with a no vote, so it may be out but not dead yet. So hope that we can get you back on.
Would love the opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Guys, go to wytruck.org. That's the Wyoming Trucking Association. Kevin Hawley is the president and CEO of that organization, WTA. By the way, they stand in the way of a lot of WTFs as well. We're back here on Nemo Nation, Fast and Furious. It's all coming at you. And we get to do one of my favorite things, by the way, Dave. Our friends from NACV are on the scene again. That messy middle continues to run on less. Would you care to do the honors and introduce our next guest?
Yes, indeed. Mike McCourse is going to be joining us again. Always enjoy listening to him. He's the Directory of Industry Engagement, the DIE. He is the lead on diesel fleets in Roll on Less. I keep saying roll, it's run on less, but we are rolling. We are rolling and running. And of course, next month, 13 fleets will take part in the NACV Run on Less Messy Middle with a real world demonstration. And the hope is to bring some clarity to what we're doing and what the achievements can be. So, Mike, welcome back. Good morning.
Good morning. Hope everybody's doing well.
So far, so good. So far, so good. Where are you now?
Well, I'm concluding my trip out to Oregon. I've got a couple more days here and then back to the heat of Arizona.
Oh, okay. In fact, we were just talking to Janet Jarvis with the Oregon Trucking Association about 20 minutes ago. Okay, so we are going to get back to basics, but not quite the basic that you might think. We're talking diesel here this morning with Schneider, but they are running renewable diesel, which ain't your granddad's diesel.
Yeah, it's exciting. As you mentioned today up on the runonless.com website, we've posted the Schneider profile. I had the opportunity to spend the day at the Schneider terminal in Phoenix, Arizona, where we had the chance to interview the driver, Latavia, and some of the crew out there on what they will be doing on the Run on Less demonstration event coming up here in September. And as you mentioned, renewable diesel is what they will be running on a regional route from Phoenix to California and back.
Indeed. The renewable diesel is a little bit, because you got diesel, then you have biodiesel, and then you have renewable diesel. And as somebody said the other day, well, it all comes out of the same hole in the ground. What's the difference? Well, in in the term of biodiesel, it comes out of a lot of little holes in the ground with roots attached to them, but we won't talk about that. But what is there a quick and easy way to delineate renewable diesel?
Sure. Yeah. So again, I'm not the ultimate expert on this, but my knowledge would say that the renewable diesel is the product that's available on the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington. It's the alternative to biodiesel that's required to use in those states. It is completely a product of from cooking oils and things that are renewable, and it is probably of the three the closest to near zero emission product that they can operate.
I remember you just mentioned something. I remember when the big stories in the news for a while were people stealing waste grease from fast food joints and bringing it home.
I just did it for fun. That was my style.
They did it. They had the little refineries in their garages and stuff. And I don't know if is anybody still doing that. I don't know.
I think it's a little more advanced than that now.
Yeah. Well, Rudolph Diesel himself, he was all about biodiesel when you think about it. Of course, he didn't call it diesel.
Yeah. Great alternative. Again, it'd be nice to see it probably more prevalent around the country, but currently it's really the three states on the West Coast, and who knows what will happen with the emission regulations and whether those will go one way or the other. But it is a great alternative for the fleets to use out there.
I know you guys have touched on this, and we've touched on this across this platform over the last couple of weeks, over the last couple of months now. Tell me a little bit about the drivers' reaction, about how drivers are taking to this. This isn't as much of a dramatic kind of change as, say, the way they feel in an electric or the way they might feel in a hydrogen. But are they noticing any difference? What is their experience with it, the drivers that you talk to?
Yeah, the drivers that we've spoken with, it's basically no difference from a performance perspective when they're operating the vehicle, whether it's on renewable diesel, biodiesel, or diesel. Of course, with biodiesel, you do have to, basically start the truck up with diesel and then convert over to the biodiesel with the optimizer system. But it's the renewable diesel is well liked by the drivers. No difference at the pump when they're fueling the truck up.
So that makes for predictability for them, meaning like for them. And that's a good thing, that nothing changes. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but that nothing changes, and therefore it becomes a very easy thing to adapt to, because there isn't any kind of, in the case of electric or in the case of hydrogen, there is a moment of adjustment that goes on there for both good and, and what I would call reacclimation. But this is one of those things where it's just kind of smooth in the sense that, don't notice any difference, and that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the run is getting really close now. We're just, a couple of weeks, about 3 weeks away, I think, or so.
September 8th.
Yeah, so that will be coming up very soon. That is a Monday. Where are you going to be? Where are you going to be on Monday, September 8th?
I will be in Arizona, and like everybody else, will be anxious to start seeing the data start popping up on the dash on runonless.com. And it's going to be exciting. We've talked about the diesel trucks, but we've got, of course, the natural gas trucks as well, and battery electric, and the two hydrogen trucks. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they all perform and how they fit into the duty cycles that they're operating, and what benefits they bring to those hauls that they're doing in those operations.
So of the information, they're going to upload data like continuously then, huh?
Yeah, every truck is equipped with a GeoTab, so it's basically going to be providing that data to us that we will, upload to a dashboard that'll show different performance metrics of the vehicles throughout the 18 days of the run.
runonless.com /participants / this fall 13 fleets, we've talked about a lot of them, are taking part in NACFE's Run on Less Messy Middle, a real world demonstration to bring clarity to long haul trucking. And our friend Mike McHorse has joined us this morning. It is great to have you as always, and we will talk at you sooner rather than later. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mike.
Guys, go to NACFE.org, NACFE.org, and find out about how they're making the messy middle a little bit more organized. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Nemo Nation continues with a good friend of ours, Jane Jazrawi. The future was yesterday. Go to ShadyRays.com because the future's so bright, you got to wear ShadyRays.com. Also, let's split. It is National Banana Split Day. Talk to you soon.
Okay, you've heard the horror stories of how folks have lost their life savings when the market tanks. Is there a way to invest and make money without risk? Believe it or not, yes. Since 1995, Americans who cannot afford to lose their investments have used fixed index annuities. You get guaranteed income and protection from market downturns. It's a win-win for you and your future. To learn more, dial pound 250. Use the keyword Truckers Wealth to get in touch with them today.
Live hard, drive hard. Shady Rays has got you. If you want a pair of sunglasses that keeps up with your adventure on the road, Shady Rays has got you. If you want to keep your eyes on the journey ahead with a price point right for your lifestyle, Shady Rays has got you. Premium polarized sunglasses with a lost and broken protection program and 30-day risk-free returns and exchanges. Drop in that code RadioNemo at ShadyRays.com and get a 35% discount and make sure you can see where the action is. They got you at ShadyRays.com.
In a video game, if you get enough experience, you level up. And when you level up, you gain more skill. And with enough skill, you beat the boss and win the game.
Sounds a lot like trucking, doesn't it?
Except in trucking, you don't beat the boss, you become the boss. And if you want to be the boss, you gotta meet the boss.
And that boss? Carrier's Edge boss, Jane Jazrawi.
Want your drivers to level up? Carrier's Edge has the training, comprehensive safety, compliance, and best practices on one website. It's a simple subscription with no contract and no commitment. Learn more. Try it out. Level up. CarriersEdge.com.
Hey, come on! We're starting the game!
All right, I'm coming. Wait for me. CarriersEdge.com.
There are precious few nonprofits in the trucking industry, and even fewer that make a tangible difference in the lives of professional drivers. So thank goodness for the St. Christopher Fund. Since 2008, over 4,000 over-the-road semi-truck drivers have turned to the St. Christopher Truckers Fund when a medical issue took them out of work. The SCF steps in and pays necessary household expenses such as mortgage, rent, utilities, insurance, and vehicle payments. The SCF also provides free health and wellness programs for drivers. So find out how the SCF can help you, or help the SCF yourself. They'll turn your dollars and cents into that tangible difference for the professional drivers who need it most. Support our highway heroes with a donation at truckersfund.org. Buckle up, because we're merging back into traffic on Radio Nemo's Nemo Nation.
We've been merging all morning and having a good time. Jimmy Mac, Dave, Nemo, welcome back.
Hey, really quick reminder, if you've got friends out there, or if you're listening on the Book of Face, or have the audacity to listen on Odyssey, or actually are live on 365, or in fact have given your heart to iHeart, we still would like you to make your way over to the Tube of You, where you should subscribe over there. By the way, slowly but surely, picking at it. We're going to make those numbers over there and show people a thing or two about what the next generation of trucking radio, of trucking podcasting, of trucking broadcasting looks like. Dave, before I bring on our next guest, just for fun, because we got all these new bells and whistles here, I am going to have our friend Phone Master Dre in just a moment when he lets me know. Play a little something. But I want to kind of make sure that we have time later on at the end of the show to make time about some of the people that have come here and kind of unpack some of the thoughts that we have as well. If you're up for that, along with the two final guests that we have on the show, you got any thoughts you want to share at the end of the show? Anything that's percolating up there in your brainiac?
I don't know yet.
We'll know when we get there. But how about a little bit of this, Dre?
That's nice.
Yeah, that is nice, by the way. Would you care to do the honors for one of our favorite people and one of our best and most loyal sponsors?
Jane Jazraoui is joining us here from parts unknown, but she doesn't have, well, she now does have good cell because I just heard her. But she, of course, you guys know her. She's the CEO of Carrier's Edge, the creators of the Best Fleets to Drive For program. By the way, speaking of, we were talking about how quickly the Run on Less run is going to come here. The nominations for Best Fleets to Drive For is really soon. That's coming up quicker than you can say, September 2nd, which is coming up very, very quickly next Tuesday, as a matter of fact. Just saying. And that's our way of introducing Jane Jazraoui.
Hello, Dave Nemo and Jimmy Mack.
Hello.
I am not in the mountains anymore.
You sound like you're you sound grounded.
I am grounded now. I'm back at home. I am, I'm not driving around. We were actually, and this kind of goes with the whole theme of today, we went to a really very, very, very cool dinosaur museum in the Badlands of Alberta, which is basically, it's crazy because Alberta is relatively flat unless you're in the mountains. But you go to the Badlands and it's like a big crack happened in the middle of Alberta, and there's dinosaur fossils everywhere. And so they have a museum. That is the coolest thing. So it was very well worth the visit to Drumheller.
Are there any particular species like Tyrannosaurus rex or Brontosauruses or Triceratops? I'm trying to remember some of these names. In other words, was there like one big herd of one kind that you think kind of just gravitated there?
Well, there was tons of now you're testing my
well, I
my
just wondered what you
memory of
saw. Yeah, just what you saw.
Well, what happened was there was a bunch of they think there was a lot of flooding. Well, there was a lot of flooding in Alberta. Alberta was actually kind of underwater for back in prehistoric times.
Back in the day.
And what happened was herds of dinosaurs would be swept away or buried in mud, and that's why because they were buried in mud, that's why they have all these great dinosaur remains that you can still find. They tell you on the site of the museum that if you find any fossils, go and tell someone, because they actually find them and they clean them and they put them in the museum. So there's a lot of things in there that are only there. There's a couple of things that are only in Colorado and Alberta because it's kind of on the same what do you call the going down. So it was really cool, and they didn't give us any friendly names of dinosaurs, so I can't remember them.
I wonder.
I have to have. But they went through all the extinctions. There's been like 5 extinctions, and they went through there were these different rooms for all of the different extinctions. And as you left one room to go into the other, it told you about the extinction. It was really, and what survived and what didn't.
I wonder,
so that was super cool.
I wonder what the perception of distance would have been for a dinosaur, something that huge. Like, for us, like, oh, I walked a mile to school, and the dinosaur is saying, yeah, I just walked 100 miles to get a drink of water. So what? I mean, I wonder if they have a different perception of distance.
Well, there is actually a movie, Jane, and I was watching a clip from this weekend about giants, where a giant actually lets this guy get like a big head start and then catches up with him in 3 steps.
I mean,
it just is one of those. It's one of those crazy things. Speaking of movies, best tech sci-fi movies. It's a topic that you have brought up. We actually got a lot of responses, both on our platform, both on my personal platform. A lot of really groovy stuff, and you actually also brought up the idea of subcategories: best prediction of the future, best aliens and zombies, best franchise, best tech gadgets. I actually asked the question on my personal page about best transportation. In the movie.
Excellent.
And some of the responses were staggeringly smart and actually predicted the future. I mean, for instance, we had, I don't know if you know this, we had somebody bring up Total Recall, which actually has them kind of move through the center of the Earth. They move through the center of the Earth to get to the other side of the planet. And by the way, that's happening in Las Vegas, courtesy of Mr. Musk. Tunnel movement is a big thing these days, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and are you talking about the second or the first? Did they do that in the first?
Remember. They did it in the first. Oh yeah, there's a lot of them moving through rock and all that kind of stuff. Have you seen Total Recall, Dave, the Schwarzenegger one?
Uh-huh.
What did you think of it?
Oh, I kind of don't remember. I mean, it's been a long, long time. I think it was good at the time.
Yeah, I remember the ladies. Go ahead, Jane.
I really liked it, but it's not. It's not just the transportation through the Earth. It was just so much transportation and what they did. And when Schwarzenegger was he was kind of in a. I can't remember Total Recall that well, but because I don't have Total Recall. But when he's in the middle of whatever station he's in and he's trying to find a way out, that whole these huge places that are going to where you can. It's kind of like an airport right now. And so the ways of moving and when they were, when he's traveling and he's going up and down as well as sideways. And I think this is at the beginning of the movie, but that was what I remember from it for as far as transportation is that there was a lot of different, he was always in something that was going somewhere.
Yeah, it really is. And by the way, there's a really cool thing, not to get into the weeds, but after all, Paranormal Pie Man really loves it when we get into the weeds. There's a thing called the chronotope in regards to storytelling. It's when you use actually the road or the movement through time and space as kind of a way of advancing the story, that each destination becomes part of the advance of the story. And I wanted to throw something at both of you guys, and then you guys can talk about the movies you're thinking about. And, Tara sent us a lot of the responses and let you all dig in. But this is for our listeners, too. There are 3 things that make a great travel movie. Do we, 1, understand the geography? Meaning, are we shown bright and early? We have to go from here to here and understand the pre-trip of it. Number 2, do we understand the method of the travel? Meaning, do we understand what vehicles are being used to get from place to place? And more importantly, how they work and what they need to keep going and how they can brake. And then number 3, what are the risks involved with the journey? What obstacles can actually get in the way and and stop us from getting there? With that in mind, Jane, and I'm going to give you a second to think. With that in mind, there's a couple of movies that were part of a poll that Tara asked. There's a couple of movies that came out. Is there any that really fit that bill to a T as far as you're concerned?
Oh my God, that's a hard question. Now I have to I think that almost all good sci-fi does that because part of sci-fi is movement, and it is movement into unknown places, which is what I really like about it is discovering the unknown. So Back to the Future, which was kind of that was something that everybody seemed to like. And I'm trying not to count the franchises in this, but they are really popular. And Back to the Future, when it first came out, it really hit because you have to, you understand the geography, and it's like in Back to the Future, it's 2 sets of geography, but you understand them both, which is kind of cool. And then the whole DeLorean getting there and the risks involved. And of course, there has to be a risk or there isn't going to be much of a movie.
By the way, perfect. That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect because let me ask you a question. I'll ask you and Dave. I ask you first. By the time that movie's over, you know exactly the layout of that town square, don't you?
And then could there be a clock tower in the middle? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, Dave? By the time it's over with, right down to the chase that is simply around the square that ends up with the big truckload full of cow manure on top of those guys. By the time that movie gets to its climax, we know exactly how far he has to go to get to 88 miles an hour and how much time he has to do it before the lightning strikes. I mean, the geographic layout, the pre-trip that goes on in there, and the number of chalkboards that Doc uses to explain how they have to do it is I think it's perfection. I think Back to the Future in regards to its machines is perfection in regards to understanding point A to point B. That's just my
And
take.
the DeLorean.
Oh, yeah.
The DeLorean itself was a character. That's what's really cool about it, is that the DeLorean was its own thing. You had the dog, the DeLorean, and Doc and Marty. And so when the thing that's transporting you becomes a character, which it often does in sci-fi, because if you're on a spaceship, if you're like The Martian, which is a much more serious movie, the spaceship not being there and the environment that Matt
Damon, you got it right.
Matt Damon, I did. Oh my gosh, this is like my vacation brain. So Matt Damon is, trying to survive, and he's got all these bits and pieces. That really becomes like another character, and the Mars was a character in that movie.
Yeah, and then even space, because the way they kind of locate space in The Martian, you've seen The Martian, right, Dave, with Matt Damon?
I have.
Yeah, I mean, even space, what they do that's so brilliant is they put spaceships in certain points around the planet that allow us to ground ourselves while we're in outer space. We always know how far somebody has to go to get where they have to get. And then they give us anxiety by saying, I can get over there. How? I'm going to cut a hole in my suit. What? But I want to give some examples too. Alien came up a lot. Mars Attacks came up. It's Tim Burton's birthday, by the way. And along with that, 2001. And Trucker Boson said the first 15, 20 minutes after the prologue, when they get out into outer space, the trip to the base on the moon is really clean and makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
I'm sorry, Kevin. I hated Space Odyssey. I couldn't get through it. I could never get through it. There was just too much quiet. I want more. I want more action.
But think about what space is like. There's nothing there. You're in nothingness, and everything is completely. Time doesn't exist, so everything is completely slowed down to the point that it's just. It's a long movie. Dave.
It's a very long movie. And it's funny because people think it's this amazing movie, so I think I should like it, and I've tried. And I think that's what it is. But I have there are certain things that I have a very, very hard time with getting through. And even though, Lord of the Rings is this, trio of books that I could never get through, and I'm thinking I should be able to get through them. And then when I realized that, I discovered the secret was don't read the poetry, and then you're going to be good. Just get to the story. So I think I have to do that with Space Odyssey. It's fast forward through things that are just slow moving.
Well, I think also with the legalization of marijuana in the country, that 2001 is probably best enjoyed on a big screen after having had a bong, is one of the things. The other thing that Trucker Boson just pointed out, Dave, and Jane Jasrawi, the CEO of Carrier's Edge, who joins us this morning, is the Mad Max movies, which are terrific.
Yes.
Whether everything, all the check boxes, we know the geography, we know how they're traveling, and we know the risks. And you're right, Jane. I think it's a really good point. I'm going to add something to the list, guys, and say that the vehicle itself, the principal mode of transportation, whether it's the Millennium Falcon or the Nostromo, actually has to become a character unto itself, right?
Absolutely. I think that's really important. And I had really never thought of that until you started bringing it up. And now I'm thinking back on all of these movies. And I'm going to bring up one that is not a classic. I mean, I think Mad Max is definitely, I really enjoyed those movies. Is a movie called Galaxy Quest that is technically not very good.
No, I disagree. Everybody thinks it's amazing. It's an amazing movie.
I think it's amazing.
No, I mean, oh my
but
God.
I thought that everybody else did it.
Oh,
my
no.
God. But
it's brilliant.
It was the same thing. It's the same thing because the ship, they didn't know how to run the ship. And it was, so the ship was just this useless character in that regard because no one knew how to operate it and they were just all, flailing around.
Oh, no. By the way, you know that before Rickman died, they were actually in the works to make a sequel. And then Rickman died, and then Sigourney Weaver and Tim Allen said, if Alan Rickman isn't in it, we are absolutely not going to make this. We just won't do it.
Oh, why did he have to die? There was but in the same, there is a sequel that is coming out, and I don't know if you saw, But Spaceballs is going to have a sequel.
That's funny. Just thinking about it.
Yeah, they basically said it's like, and all the advertisement just says we're only here to make a gobload of money. They openly say it in the trailers. This is just a crass
It may not
attempt.
be a good movie. Well, the first movie wasn't that good.
Yeah, may the
but it was
Schwartz be with
funny.
you. May the Schwartz be with you. But go ahead, Dave. You're going to add something.
Well, I wasn't going to really add something to what you guys are talking about, but you have to understand that I'm a baby boomer. So my introduction to movies at all was early 50s when I was a baby, and then, through the 50s. But all of the science fiction movies that I kind of relate to in terms of meaning, what they mean and how important they are, goes back to things like The Day the Earth Stood Still, which was more a political essay than it was a science fiction movie.
That's every science fiction movie.
And some people thought that Klaatu was really Jesus. I never really went that far, but you could go that far. In other words, all of these movies were here to give us a warning back in the 50s. Them, the giant ants, everything that you could magnify with a camera lens, was a threat in the 50s, because that's what we were led to believe was going to happen because of all of the radioactivity from the bombing tests and all of that kind of stuff. Then you have the invasion of the body snatchers. They kind of, and you can read up about that movie, and people were saying, well, that's an allegory about the communists and things like that. 1951's The Day the Earth Stood Still had communist overtones and Big Brother overtones, and you have Big Brother himself, so that's another thing. So there's a whole new I think the baby boomer might have a different perspective on what they expect from a science fiction movie.
I'm going to problematize that just a little bit, Jane,
Sure.
by reminding Dave that the people who made the science fiction movies we're talking about, though, Robert Zemeckis for Back to the Future, Steven Spielberg for Close Encounters, those are all baby boomers.
Yeah.
Those are all
yeah.
kids who grew up in the same place and then took it one step further.
Mm-hmm.
One step beyond, kind of like, okay, we're going to run out of time here, so I want to make sure we do something else too. Which ones, guys, do you think got it right? Where you think we look at it now and kind of go, hey, man, that's pretty close. That's not badly done. Are there any movies, Jane, for you in regards to trucking, transportation, or just society in general where you go, hey, man, that's pretty close?
I said this in my post on Facebook, but Minority Report is kind of eerie.
Oh yeah.
In what it did. That was a cool movie.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be actual, people predicting anything like in water, submerged in water with tubes. But that whole social media, I think that Minority Report got social media right.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It really gets on top of that. Well, and by the way, speaking of social media, so does the Fifth Element with the Chris Tucker character, like literally broadcasting a giant terrorist shootout while being an influencer and being entertaining long before there was ever such a thing as an influencer. It kind of gets it right, really kind of spectacular. Remember that nonsense?
Oh yeah, that was nonsense, and there was a lot of colored hair in that movie.
How about nanotech? Trucker Bosun says, fantastic journey exploring the world inside of our body. You remember that one?
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that Raquel Welch?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and at the end they have to pull the antibodies off her body. Remember that moment too, when all the antibodies attack her outside of the ship, inside the body.
Yeah.
That's just that's crazy stuff. Best truckers in space. Who is the best space trucker in movies, Jane?
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think.
And you can stretch the
Space
definition.
trucker.
You can stretch the definition.
Right. I have no idea. I was actually, when you were talking about Fantastic Journey, I was thinking about that Dennis Quaid movie where he goes
Inner Space.
Yeah. Inner Space, yeah, which I really liked because I really like Dennis Quaid. He was, but space trucker. Ooh, that's a tough one. There's a series, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, where is more I got to try and remember the name of it. What do you think a good space trucker movie is?
Dave's got what many people think is the ultimate space trucker.
And
Let it
you
rip.
almost don't want to say it, but it's true.
Go.
Han Solo. Han Solo.
Oh, God, yeah.
He-
Of course. It's completely.
It almost sounds cliche now.
He's a trucker.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
he's given his truck a name. He's got a handle. Matter of fact, his pet rides with him, although his pet's a better driver than he is. It totally works. And in the movie Alien, which was the second in our poll, the Nostromo is a truck. They're space truckers. I mean, they are cargo. They're freight haulers. That's what they do for a
And
living.
think about the real life, the real world space shuttles. Those are space truckers too. And that was a whole big thing on the old road gang, about that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jane.
And Sigourney Weaver was in heavy equipment at the end.
That's right. That's right. Do we got a call, Dre?
Well, no, I was going to say, can I throw in one? Actually, can I ask if this is one?
Yeah.
Yondu is it Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
Yeah, Star-Lord's like basically adopted daddy. He was a space trucker?
A space trucker. I mean,
Yeah.
they're outlaw
Yes.
truckers. Absolutely outlaw truckers. As a matter of fact, you can make a case that Rocket and Groot, until they get adopted into the situation, are both hijackers and space truckers. If you're moving cargo across the universe, you're a space trucker.
Guardians of Trucking, man.
Guardians of Trucking, man. That's the new thing, Jane. I think Dre has taken us to the promised end here. The Guardians of Trucking.
I remembered the name of what I was thinking, and this is a series, it's not a movie, but The Expanse.
Oh
The
my God, it's all
Expanse is-
trucking. It's all trucking. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what I was thinking. And I love The Expanse. I love the books. Well, actually, the books and the series are very, very similar, so they're very good. But it's that whole, trying to solve a mystery, and that's the other thing about sci-fi. It's often a mystery. And going back to my dinosaur thing at the beginning, that's what Jurassic Park was. Jurassic Park was an excellent book, excellent movie when it first came out. I don't know if you remember when it first came out, but we were so in awe of those dinosaurs.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, we'll never forget it.
Yeah.
By the way, a couple of comic ones. Our good friend Ten Ring says Futurama. That's what they do for a living. Leela
Yes.
is the ultimate space trucker, and George Papard as Space Cowboy in Battle Beyond the Stars. How about that? Here's my Mel Gibson impersonation from The Road Warrior, which, by the way, I think sums up science fiction trucking in one line. 2 days ago, I saw a vehicle that could hold that tanker. You want to get out of here? You talk to me. I mean, right there. That's it. That's it. That's the entire movie summed up in one line. He shows up and basically says, there's only one way out of here, and there's only one guy to drive this rig, and that's me. And the whole thing, the last third of that movie is spent in a truck with what they think is, as they call it, gasoline. I mean, there you go. There you go. It's amazing. Once you kind of open the door, and Ten Ring did too, with the mention of Han Solo, it gets easier, doesn't it? Once you kind of have Han Solo, it's not cliche to say it, Dave. It's a cliche. It's like saying, here's looking at you, kid, it's a cliche. It's only a cliche because it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a template.
It has earned its clichéness.
It's earned its clichéness. Can you think of any?
Yes, Han Solo was a great character. The other, because Schwarzenegger was in a lot of different sci-fi movies, but I don't think that we've mentioned the Uber one, which is Terminator.
Oh my God, and the use of trucks in both those movies, in both
Yep.
Terminator and Judgment Day. And by the way, of course, because anybody that knows anything, what did James Cameron do before he got his first special effects gig on John Carpenter's Escape from New York? He was a card-carrying Teamster truck driver.
I loved Terminator. I loved it. That was, I think, I really liked Linda Hamilton.
Oh, she's great.
Who was a, great character.
I may ruin this whole discussion, but I'm going to do it anyway, because I said to these guys in the studio, I said to Jimmy and Andre that Cheryl and I watched about an hour's worth of War of the Worlds, the new one, and we wondered, what in the hell are we watching this for? It is horrific. They both looked at me like they wanted to throw me out of the room because they couldn't believe I actually watched it in the first place. Wow.
Dave died for our sins is what he's basically saying.
It was horrifically bad.
Don't watch it. The one with Ice Cube.
It's
do not
not so
watch
bad
it.
it's good. Okay?
It's just bad.
It's not Space Truckers.
It's not Space Truckers.
It's so bad it's good.
Well, that's the beauty of it, is that sometimes they are really bad, and that can actually be good too. It's kind of weird. The other thing that I'm noticing is that we're kind of focusing on older movies, and I wonder if the new generations are going to look back on the movies that we see today as being the ones that are, they look back fondly on, that they remember well. Because I think I watch a lot of science fiction, I read a lot of science fiction, but the ones today, they're okay, but there's a lot of, too much emphasis on, Avenger movies. I like to see, actual, let's have some, space travel, or let's have some time travel, and
I've got
be
one for
thoughtful
you.
about it.
You ready for a great time travel? The Lazarus Project. It's 2 seasons. It's on Netflix. Trust me when I tell you, it is one of the best time travel sci-fis I've ever seen. And the season finale of episode 2 is the biggest mind fudge you ever saw in your life. Jane, we are out of time, and we love you.
Whoa.
CarriersEdge.org. Hey, man, head over there. The CEO, the head honcho, and one of our favorite people, Jane Jezraoui, joins us. This is Nemo Nation, and it's Jane Jezraoui. Dave, how do you feel about that?
Bye. Bye.
Whoa. She couldn't hang up fast enough. It
No,
must
Dre
have
cut her
been
off.
War of the Worlds.
No, Dre cut her off. No, I'm just kidding with you. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Madison with a T is dropping in with friends. Dave and I will take you a little further down the road. We're wrapping things up here as we head to the post trip on Nemo Nation. Go to ShadyRays.com. Go to TruckDown.com. They're great sponsors. We want you to check them out.
Get $25 off on your next preventive maintenance service. Stop by TA Truck Service and save when you choose Castrol oil and a Fleet Guard oil filter, now through September 30, 2025. Enjoy premium performance with trusted brands. Castrol, protection for the long haul guaranteed. Fleet Guard, run cleaner longer with filtration science. Our ASC certified technicians are ready to deliver expert preventive maintenance and more. TA Truck Service, Castrol, Fleet Guard, your partners in preventive maintenance.
Did you know it's extremely easy to join the Wreaths Across America mission to remember our fallen heroes, while at the same time honoring those who are currently serving our country and their families? Plus, you're helping to teach our younger generation about the value of freedom. With just one $17 donation to Wreaths Across America, you're sponsoring a fresh Maine Balsam Remembrance Wreath. They've really become a symbol of America's respect for those who bravely served and are no longer with us. To sponsor your wreath, just visit wreathsacrossamerica.org. That's wreathsacrossamerica.org.
Okay, you've heard the horror stories of how folks have lost their life savings when the market tanks. Is there a way to invest and make money without risk? Believe it or not, yes. Since 1995, Americans who cannot afford to lose their investments have used fixed index annuities. You get guaranteed income and protection from market downturns. It's a win-win for you and your future. And to learn more, dial pound 250. Use the keyword Truckers Wealth to get in touch with them today.
Hey, it's Susan Patton here, and I hope you'll join me for the next Trucking Tributes. Coming up, I'm chatting with professional driver Richard Vanier with Smith Trucking out of Oklahoma.
Everybody's in there just talking, having a good time, and telling stories about Reese, or just telling stories about their experience of driving, how long they've been driving, what they've done. You know, it's just, you're just sitting around enjoying conversations with just friendly people and just enjoying the food that is provided by Tyson and everything like that. I mean, you just sit up there and you just enjoy time with people and just relax. It's very relaxing, very calming, and like I said, it's just the home feel of being there with basically family.
Tune in for Trucking Tributes, and don't forget, you can get signed up as a member of our honor fleet right now by reaching out to wreathsacrossamerica.org/trucking. Now, how easy is that? wreathsacrossamerica.org/trucking.
We're back on Nemo Nation with another fast-paced Fast Sport Studios half hour.
So we were talking movies with Jane Jezraoui. That was a really fun conversation, by the way. And of course, we'll replay that on the Tube of You, where you can hear that replay and jump in on the comment section. If you do that, don't be surprised if Breaker Back Talk in the form of Touchdown Turtle Tara Garris shows up here at week's end or week after with your comments there. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube because you're listening on the Heart of I or the Audacity of Odyssey, or have made your way over to RadioNemo.com and are live on 365. We'd love to have you join the gang, as it were. Don't forget that Road Gang Radio is Tuesday through Friday, 7 to 11 in the center and 8 to noon in the east. I don't know if our next guest actually had a chance to listen to the previous conversation, but we were talking about our favorite sci-fi in regards to transportation and travel. That's where I'm going to throw them in first. And then once we get through that, we're going to have a talk about their particular movie. So she's never really sat in this chair before. Well, she sat in this chair to check sound levels and also just kind of give me somebody to bounce stuff off of while Dre is working on the, well, it's the ones and the twos, as Lindsay likes to say. Madison LeBlanc joins us. And we won't call her Madison with a T because Madison LeBlanc is an accomplished director. She is a graduate of SCAD. She is an accomplished painter, a gifted artist all around who fell deeply in love with movies while she was there, although I have a feeling she always liked movies to some degree, just didn't realize she had an affinity for it. I have seen Ada and the Doc. I've seen that short, and it is remarkable. You would not be surprised after you saw it to know that she's done 2 internships at Cannes. She is also a resident of the state of Louisiana, and I did that all with no notes. Good morning to you, Madison LeBlanc.
Good morning, Jimmy Mack. It's nice to be on this side of the desk.
Yeah. We wanted to give you the opportunity, by the way, because we want people to understand that along with Dre and his multiple talents, the kind of quality people we have here, and how excited we are for you about this project you've been working for. You brought some friends along with you, too.
I sure
and
have.
I would love you to do the honor of introducing them.
Of course. So to my left, we have Miss Grace Pritchard. Before I get into the individual introductions, I want to say that we are starting a production company. So these are my business partners and also my best friends. And they all helped me create the short proof of concept, Ada and the Doc. So like I said, to my left, we have Miss Grace Pritchard, who helped produce the short. She is originally from Arkansas.
Yes,
Arkansas.
ma'am.
And then across from me, I have Mr. Jacob Denton, who also helped me produce the short. He is originally from Houston, Texas. And then on the phone, because he unfortunately had to fly out back home to Atlanta yesterday, is Mr. Bailey Selvage, and he is originally from Florida. I'm originally from Morgan City, Louisiana. And so I now reside here in New Orleans. Grace and Jacob reside in New York, and Bailey resides in Atlanta, Georgia.
Good morning to all of you
Good
guys, by the
morning.
way.
Thanks for having us.
So before we get into your project, by the way, we've been talking all morning long, setting up the fact that after a whole bunch of trucking conversation, we thought we would jump in and have a conversation with Jane Jezraoui on The Future Was Yesterday about do any movies successfully predict the future in their science fiction conceptions. A lot of things were kind of decided upon. We kind of had this crazy thing in regards to storytelling and the cleanliness of its organization that Back to the Future is kind of the gold standard. Let me kind of set the rules for you guys, because I think Ada and the Doc actually follow these rules in different ways. In regards to any sort of travel movie, transportation has to be kind of its own character, meaning the principal vehicle of transport, that's Jane's idea, has to have its own character. The Millennium Falcon, the big rig from Mad Max, the Nostromo, of course, from Alien. These are all characters in their own right.
Totally.
Okay. The geography of space has to be clearly defined, and we'll use Back to the Future again. By the time that movie's over with, you know exactly how that town square is laid out. You know how the entire town is laid out. You know how far he has to run from the school to get back to the town square, what it's going to take to get to 88 miles an hour, and on we go. We have to know the method of transportation. That goes back to the vehicle itself. The DeLorean from Back to the Future, the Millennium Falcon, once again. We might not know all the particulars, but when it breaks, we know what's wrong. They might give it some kind of, bizarre name, but we know the exhaust is screwed up, or we know the ducts, the heating ducts are a mess. And then finally, we have to know the risks, meaning once you've established that geography, we have to know what is in the way, the asteroid field, the bullies, whoever it is, that will stop us from getting where we are. So given that, and then we'll pivot.
Pivot.
Thank you very much. A little shout out to Lindsay there. We'll then pivot to Ada and the Doc and your production company. So I'm going to ask you, Madison, first to buy Grace and Jacob. And by the way, good morning to you, Bailey, out there in the in the ether. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing great. Thank you all so much for having me. I'm very, very excited to be a part of this morning.
Hey,
Yeah,
Bailey.
We don't forget anybody around here. Okay, we'll start with you, Madison. It can be really short. You haven't got to have an exegesis on it, or you can.
Okay.
But what is it?
What is it?
What is the sci-fi movie that does the best with travel and transportation?
I would have to say Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah, and by the way, that was part of the earlier conversation too. We were saying about in the original movie Road Warrior, he has that great line. 2 days ago, I saw a vehicle that could hold that tanker. You want to get out of here? You talk to me. And in one line, we got it.
Yep.
And at the end of Mad Max, at the end of Fury Road, what's that great line? Between us and them, maybe there's some sort of redemption. And then they just take off on a straight line,
Yeah.
right back to the water. Okay, go ahead, Grace.
Well, I think you guys all mentioned really good ones. The only one that I was thinking of is Alien. They don't have as a defined rules, but you still know how long.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, they still all have their laws and their rules about how that universe takes place and how they need to get where they're going. And also the mode of transportation becomes a big issue on the first or almost every movie because the ship breaks and then they're stuck with the aliens and they got to figure out how to fix it. And how long it's going to take to get home.
They get woken up early, as a matter of fact, in the first when they're in cryo sleep, and they get woken up early on their way back to Earth. It's a 5-month journey back to Earth, and when the movie ends, she has to go back to sleep. Go ahead.
I just thought of one, and I think I would like to change my answer.
Change your answer.
I think Interstellar. That was crazy because I remember like them being in the ship and like the things breaking and the years passing and like all of that stuff, like the sense. Although like the aesthetics of Mad Max are so good, I felt the severe like tension of your vessel breaking in Interstellar.
Well, Nolan, who I know you love as a
I
filmmaker,
do.
both Inception and equally important Tenet.
Yes.
Without his clear sense of geography, we would be so lost in those movies we'd have no idea where we are.
Yeah.
And it's so important to him that it's like, I am here, I have to get to there. These are the things in my way that I have to get out of the way. You ever notice that movies like this also have a lot of chalkboards? Or a lot of
Gotta lay it out for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
PowerPoint presentations, like here's what we're going to kind of explain. And when Nolan explains that, he's like, oh, I can explain Tenet in absolute order. He writes out the order and then starts showing you where he moved everything to kind of do that. Jacob, take it away.
Yeah, I'm a big Star Wars fan, so Millennium Falcon, but even the Death Star is a vehicle that they kind of send around, the TIE fighters, but I think inside and outside, like the aesthetics of ships can say so much about a character and the characters inside of them too.
Oh my God, yeah, because that's a really great point. Anybody who remembers Star Wars, all of those guys, their helmets have their stickers on them.
Yeah.
They're all individually, and people always forget too, the Death Star is moving as well in that battle, that it's minutes from actually having Yavin in its sights. So it's two journeys. It's the journey through the trench, but it's also the journey of the planet making its way across. Good get. Bailey, you're the last one. You're on the spot. What is it?
Come on, Bailey. I'm on the spot. I love that. I just as a fun concept to kind of throw a wrench in this, like, aren't Transformers both vehicles and characters?
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, and
funny one.
and by the way, we talked about that, but go ahead.
Well, and then not as much sci-fi, but I love all genres. One of my favorite vehicles, maybe this is a bit of a cheat, but the Taxi and Taxi Driver that De Niro's character drives around, that's like his headspace and it's his worldview. And without those shots and that vehicle being the kind of device that brings the whole film together, none of that really works. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's not a sci-fi answer, but I like the Transformers idea.
Well, there are two things. First of all, with Taxi Driver, what makes perfect sense is while the cab itself is not a character outside of the interior mind of Travis Bickle, we actually go back and watch that film again and put the acting, the editing, and everything else out of your mind and watch how the movement of the cab, it's the same thing he does in his other movie, After Hours, actually develops the geography of New York. He gives us a very specific, very awful Times Square, drug-induced, worst neighborhoods in Manhattan of New York. So it's a great get. As far as Transformers, my problem with Transformers is the fact that they don't go anywhere. They just turn into these things and blow things sky high.
They go to the moon. They go to the dark side of the moon.
Yeah, I get that, but it's like I never know where everything is. It's just Michael Bay. I'm gonna blow things up real good. That's okay. That's okay. All right. So Everybody's got their vote in, and I'm sure we're going to get some comments on our YouTube channel as well. Guys, by the way, Battlestar Galactica, the television show in particular, does a really terrific job. Big thanks to Trucker Bosun. I don't know if you guys heard this earlier. Our good friend Ten Ring actually wrote the best truck driving female in any entertainment is Leela from Futurama. Genuine. She's a truck driver.
She is.
She's a truck driver, straight up. Does a great job. Okay, so let's talk about Ada and the Doc and proof of concept, and then we'll talk about Jimbo. What's going on? So tell us about Ada and the Doc.
Okay, so Ada and the Doc is right now it exists as a proof of concept short film and as a feature length film. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the pipeline of an independent film, you create something called a proof of concept. So it's usually like a short or scenes from the feature that are much cheaper to create. And you take that to your investors and to festivals to prove to people that this is what we want to do, but on a larger scale. So from a financial standpoint, our proof of concept short film costs $25,000 to make. Our feature film is probably going to cost about $5 million. So 15 minutes for $25,000. Movies are expensive.
Is that with the marketing budget or without?
In totality.
Okay, the totality.
In
That's
totality.
important to point out because
Yes.
people don't know this. The Conjuring cost $12 million.
Mm-hmm.
Only $4 million of it was spent making the movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, same with
You know.
Anora. Like their marketing budget was like way more than what it actually cost to make the thing.
A lot of people don't understand that. When you get that, why does this movie cost so much to make? I don't know, because you got to run advertising campaigns around the entire
People
planet.
got to know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys, I told this to Madison, the story of the first Conjuring was that James Wan sat there in terror because he had no idea how they were going to respond. And the three heads of the studio that were there, one of them got up 10 minutes in and and left.
Oh.
And he thought, oh, no, after the Annabelle opening. And he thought, oh, no. And then 10 minutes later, he walked back in. He was the one that ran marketing with two kids. They sat in front of Juan, and he said, you guys stick to him like glue. You just got yourself a $12 million marketing budget on this movie you made. That It means everything. So 5 big ones is the whole enchilada and the burrito on the side.
Correct.
Go on, please. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Morgan City, Louisiana. I was going into my junior year at the Savannah College of Art and Design. I was home for the summer, and I had a summer job at the Morgan City Public Library. While I was there, my boss, who was also head of the archives, came in with this old black tattered medical bag full of equipment, and I'm digging around in it, looking at all the old vials and stuff, and he says, you know you're touching the bag of a murderer, right? And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, you don't know the story of Ada and the Doc? And I was like, no, I've never heard of it. So there's only one book that's ever been written about it, and it's out of print. You can't get it anymore unless you feel like paying like hundreds of dollars on eBay for it. He gave me his personal copy because his great-grandfather was one of the trappers who found the dead body in the story back in 1927. So he had his own personal copy. I read the book, and I was absolutely blown away, especially because I had lived in Morgan City my entire life, and I had never heard of this story. And that's just proof of how good they were at keeping it under wraps because it was so taboo. And even 100 years later, we still face a little bit of that as we go into making this film. So I took a feature screenwriting course my next semester at SCAD, and this is what I based that feature on. And so I wrote the feature, and I went into my senior year, and I had to make my my senior thesis film. So it's basically you work your entire senior year on one film, and that's your requirement to graduate. And so many times I had seen seniors create films, and then they would graduate, and then they would die. Like they would do absolutely nothing with it. And I'm
The
like,
film,
the
not
film,
the scene.
not the
would
person.
die. They would go on.
film
That's
would
a
die.
really
The
great idea
people would
for a
live.
horror movie, isn't it? Everybody that has made their senior thesis is now dead.
They are all
Go
dead.
on, please.
Yes. So I was like, I want to do something with longevity, for like the resources you have access to while you're at SCAD. It's like you only get that once. Once you graduate, it's gone. So I was like, let me make something that'll extend beyond school. And so I was like, let me make a proof of concept for this feature because I know that I want this to be my first feature as a director. And so the beautiful people here with me today helped make that happen. We've recently been seeing a lot of success from the short, which is really awesome. And so we're building on that momentum to create our first feature film together.
Very, very cool. Grace, I pivot to you.
Yes.
Say it.
Pivot.
Thank you very much. Shout out to Lindsay. Grace, tell us a little bit about what your involvement is. We know that our friend Madison here is the director. What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm one of the producers on the project. I came in during the second unit of filming. So after the Louisiana unit, they came back to Georgia, and we shot like 3 more units. And I was there to help out. And then they're actually a year ahead of me, Jacob Bailey and Madison. And so I was finishing my degree at SCAD while they were kind of fleshing out more of the feature film. And then we got into Cannes. And ever since then, like she said, it's kind of been a roller coaster ride of momentum. And so we're just trying to keep that pushing. And we've got a lot of great reception, especially in the Louisiana area. It's a very near and dear story to the culture and the history.
Yeah, do you want to? I don't think I actually
I
said
don't
what
think
the
you
story was
did.
about. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Take it away.
So Ada and the Doc is a true story about a sex murder trial that took place in Morgan City but was tried in Franklin. And it's about Ada LaBeouf, who was accused of murdering her husband. It's a great tale to show like the morals of the time in the 1920s when it took place, and how small town gossip can lead to death and
a conviction on circumstantial evidence.
Yes,
Correct.
yes. There was little to no evidence. It was such a rushed trial as well. A bunch of evidence came out years after.
We know it. You're guilty.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah,
a
we decided.
national phenomenon.
Yes.
People that flocked to the cities outnumbered the residents. It was insane.
Mm-hmm.
And we forgot to mention there's an affair that also takes place with the local town doctor, Dr. Dreer, which
Hence the sex and the sex murder.
an alleged affair, hence the sex and the sex murder trial. And unfortunately, Ada Bonner LaBeouf and Dr. Thomas E. Dreer were hung in a double execution. Hanged? Hung?
Hanged.
Hanged.
Hanged. Hung.
Hanged?
Hung. Hung. Hung.
And she was the first white woman to be executed by the state of Louisiana in 1929 under the strict orders of infamous Governor Huey P. Long.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a great example of what I call government by fiat, when the executive can actually exert so much pressure on a local parish or a state to actually force them to kind of violate their own ideas of due process. Now we turn to Jacob. Let's talk a little bit about what it is you do. Thank you, by the way, Bailey. Good. Sorry, I almost said to Bailey. Grace, go ahead, Jacob.
Yeah, so I'm a producer as well as Bailey is. Basically, the producer's job, just in case anyone doesn't know, is basically any there's no excuses in the filmmaking business. It's either it gets done or it doesn't get done. The producer's job is to make sure it gets done, whether that's finding the location or the permits or making sure the food is there to feed the crew. So, and same thing with developing the feature. Obviously, we're not shooting anything yet, but it's find the money, figure out how to do it.
You're in the pre-trip phase.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
in the and by the way, I want to point out to everybody listening, the majority, just like the majority of truck drivers out there are small business owners, operators, independent drivers. The majority of the movie industry is studios buying products from independent production companies.
Correct.
That is, in many ways, that's the great connective tissue between truck driving and producing movies. There's a lot of connective tissue between truck driving and movies. I don't know if you guys know this. You know that the truck driving for movies is so specialized, they have their own set of rules and regulations, that they don't follow the same rules as the rest of the drivers. They actually have to do paper logs.
Yeah,
they have
Teamsters.
to be turned in every single day.
Wow.
You have to turn in your paperwork every single day, and it has to be checked 3 times because they do so much hurry up and waiting as well. All right, Bailey, so you are a producer. What responsibilities are falling to you on this production?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, as Grace and Jacob said, we're all kind of producers. I have been a part of this since this short film, since before that was even shot. So I was the first assistant director, kind of overseeing logistics and scheduling on that. And then I became a producer on that short and then into the feature. Something that they didn't note that has been pretty instrumental and very different from the short film process is Madison had wrote that feature film script and that was already polished, but Jacob and myself and Grace have been, they're helping kind of shape that story and that narrative and ensuring that all the story beats are hitting in the right way and, tackling a script that's 120 pages as opposed to 15 or 20 is a total different animal. So that's been really exciting, and that's kind of what we've been working toward and working on and doing everything in our power, as Jake kind of said, to make it happen, because if we don't, then no one's going to do that. And as much as these studios do buy projects and do buy things, we know that we have to be front-facing and getting in front of as many people as possible to make that happen. So that's kind of our goal, and that's our MO, and that's the plan right now with Ada and the Doc.
I'm going to say something, maybe it'll land with the 4 of you, and maybe you're like, what are you talking about? Turning a short into a feature-length film, welcome to the joys of solving second-act problems. I mean, that's it right there. I mean,
Correct.
it's like we go back to the trucking analogy. When I'm doing a local trip, it's point A to point B, and I'm done. When I do an over the road trucking, crossing state lines and all of that, there's a lot of things you have to plan for and a lot of things that have to kind of pay off. There's a lot of people that can write openings, and there are even some people that can write things to bring them to a thunderclap. It's keeping people transfixed between, the 35-minute mark and the hour 10 mark is where most films live and die.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the big thing with film and script writing too is just making sure there's no lull in tension, and it's figuring out how to ratchet up tension constantly
Without it devolving into laughs either, because you can
Exactly.
make things so tense that it's okay. That's ridiculous. That's enough.
So it's always a delicate like tightrope walk that you have to do. And the second act also, like, again, point A to point B. Well, sometimes you get lost in it a little bit, and second acts can be really long. I mean, we're still working on our second act too. I mean, it's definitely great, but it was really long at some points. And
It's got to be though.
Yeah, it's figuring out a way how to just be more efficient. Efficiency is like key for script writing and film in general. It's just how can we combine two scenes to make one more powerful.
Can I
scene?
put something in the background? Can an establishing shot take care of that business? You guys are going to love this. Trucker Bosun just wrote. He said, that was me driving the concrete mixer for Transformers 2. All paper.
Wow.
By the way, so Trucker Bosun did
He's a
that.
star.
Which is really, really groovy and really kind of fantastic.
Yeah, we will need transportation services on our film when it goes into production. So.
Yeah, and of course, Lindsay's got a lot of contacts there. I actually have a lot of contacts in the movie stuff. The music stuff, I don't even know where to begin with that kind of entry ramp there. But it really is. It's about logistics. So let me just kind of ask this, Grace. What do you take care of? I mean, we use the word producer, but producers, it's about delegation of authority.
Correct.
Where do you fall in all of this?
Yeah, so right now with the four of us, we are tackling a lot of tasks and wearing many hats. But right now we're focused on what financing looks like, what a real realistic budget would look like with our script. Like we said, location scouting this weekend. We tag teamed which locations we were heading. Like I made the Franklin contact, and Madison set us up with her uncle, and her Morgan City connection. So it's all about here's what I can do. And we also work 40-hour work week jobs, all of us, as well as doing this. So we probably put 60 hours a week at least into all of this stuff. So it's definitely about who can take care of this right now, who is best equipped, who made the best, connection with this person, how can we best facilitate all these tasks that need to be done. The delineation will come further on, especially with production as it gets closer. Like, okay, now this person is going to head marketing. This person is going to head, pre-production logistics.
Foreign distribution.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's making that pay? I'm not asking right now who's making that.
Yeah, we would not have an answer.
That's a secret.
That's a longer that's about as the film starts to actually look like it's got legs, and there's a point of no return, as we all know. Once somebody says action, then somebody usually has made a couple of contacts with foreign distributors, but then been like, okay, so let's now really get this this is actually going to happen. We're going to be out of time here, guys. There's so much more to talk about. I wanted to throw one more to Bailey because he is so, he's not in the room. So I want to make sure that, Bailey, what are you looking at taking care of? What is like really of interest to you? What do you see not the issues, but the challenges moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. As Grace kind of noted, we are all tackling everything at the same time, and we're doing our best to collaborate and communicate as often as possible. I think the most important thing that we want to do is just create and tell an interesting and amazing and unique story that absolutely deserves to be told. And we're putting, all of our resources into that every single day. After work, we get on meetings and we ensure that either the script's in the right spot or the finances are still moving forward. But I'm just kind of keeping an eye over all the logistics, all the financing, even the distribution, as they're saying, and making sure we don't miss out on an opportunity, because we really care about this story and this project, and we're going to kind of do everything we can in our power to make it happen. We're going to die trying, at least. So
don't do that.
Yeah,
Please don't do that. Please don't do that.
Definitely not.
Live to fight another day.
Yeah, not in the plans.
Not in the plans. Really quickly, Madison, where can people go to find out more about Ada and the Doc and Jimbo Productions?
Yeah, of course. So we're still working on developing our company's website, and we might even do a rebranding, a rename. We've been exploring that. But as far as the film goes, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Ada and the Doc. We are also all on Instagram, our personals. You can find them on the account. We're tagged in all of the photos and everything. We also have an official website. I think it's adaandthedocfilm.com. And you can find all of the nice PR that's been happening for us recently and all of the selections. Up and coming, we are going to be in the Oscar qualifying New Orleans Film Festival, which takes place October 22nd to 24th, I believe. So that's the next big thing that we have coming up. We're really excited about that.
We're really excited about what's happening for you guys as well. Of course, Madison with a T, who you guys know. Grace, Jacob, Bailey, thank you so much for making time with us this morning. I'm really excited for you guys.
Thank you.
But like I said, I
Thanks for
feel like
having us.
I feel like things are headed in the right direction because they're headed there methodically. I know impatience is the great enemy of making a movie.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
But you've also got to kind of harness it as well to kind of keep on driving forward and all that stuff. We're going to say goodbye. Dave is going to take over. He's got a friend stopping in the studio. Big thanks to Phone Master Dre for making this happen, brother. Yeah, why don't we get some music and get us out of here, and we'll get Dave in on the other side as Nemo Nation continues. Big thanks to Dave for making space for these exciting young folks. Awesome. This is the film is very, very good too. Ada and the Doc. Find them on the socials and on the media. We'll be right back on the other side of this. Guys, go to ShadyRays.com. If you're going to make the move to Hollywood, you want to go to ShadyRays.com. They've got your back.
Exceptional value and exceptional values. That's Bennett Trucking. A core commitment of faith, family, and freedom has driven Bennett to being the leading provider of innovative, integrated transportation solutions, both at home and abroad. Bennett's values are not just compatible with providing high-paying jobs and unmatched customer service. They're inseparable. If you're looking for an employer or a partner who believes the best business model is being a model citizen, then Bennett Trucking is the place for you. Go to BennettIG.com and find the folks who share your values.
Did you know it's extremely easy to join the Wreaths Across America mission to remember our fallen heroes, while at the same time honoring those who are currently serving our country and their families? Plus, you're helping to teach our younger generation about the value of freedom. With just one $17 donation to Wreaths Across America, you're sponsoring a fresh Maine Balsam Remembrance Wreath. They've really become a symbol of America's respect for those who bravely served and are no longer with us. To sponsor your wreath, just visit wreathsacrossamerica.org. That's wreathsacrossamerica.org.
Get $25 off on your next preventive maintenance service. Stop by TA Truck Service and save when you choose Castrol oil and a Fleet Guard oil filter. Now through September 30, 2025. Enjoy premium performance with trusted brands. Castrol, protection for the long haul guaranteed. Fleet Guard, run cleaner longer with filtration science. Our ASC certified technicians are ready to deliver expert preventive maintenance and more. TA Truck Service, Castrol, Fleet Guard, your partners in preventive maintenance.
Live hard, drive hard. Shady Rays has got you. If you want a pair of sunglasses that keeps up with your adventure on the road, Shady Rays has got you. If you want to keep your eyes on the journey ahead with a price point right for your lifestyle, Shady Rays has got you. Premium polarized sunglasses with a lost and broken protection program and 30-day risk-free returns and exchanges. Drop in that code RadioNemo at ShadyRays.com and get a 35% discount and make sure you can see where the action is. They got you at ShadyRays.com.
We've reached the final hour, the post trip on Nemo Nation. Take it away, Phone Master Dre.
I'll let Dave take it away. Why don't you do that there, Dave?
Where should I take it? I don't know where to go or what to do when I get there. Hey, I'll tell you what, we're going to talk to a young woman right now who knows where to go and what to do when she gets there. She started the Wharton, over in Texas now, she started the Wharton County Recovery Team in 2016, and that was just in time to get ready for something that nobody was ready for, and nobody can believe it happened if you were there, Hurricane Harvey in 2017. Evelyn Carrier is with us. Evelyn, welcome to the Degas House here in Nemo Nation. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi. Yeah. Like he said, I'm Evelyn Carrier. Nice to be here. How are you today?
Doing pretty good, as a matter of fact. We've had the most beautiful, I couldn't, we've been in the room here. I got here at about 5:30 this morning. We go on at 7. So I walked outside to meet you. And I couldn't believe how gorgeous it is outside here
I
in New
know.
Orleans.
It is so nice today. And it's really peculiar for this time of year as well, which like kind of worries me because, you know, we're still in
Don't
hurricane season.
say it. Do not you say that.
but that's my forte is like disaster recovery and hazard mitigation. And like you said, the Wharton County Recovery Team, the foundation that I had started, is on the basis of disaster recovery. So it's just something that I live with. Is just like this baseline of preparedness that you have to have during this season, especially if you live in the South. And I know that it's becoming like more prominent to be prepared and to make sure that like everything that you have is in store. And we have the anniversary of Katrina coming up too. But it still makes me nervous whenever we have too good of weather before hurricane season ends, because I'm like, am I enjoying this too much? And I don't want to like enjoy good weather too much so that it doesn't get spoiled by a really bad hurricane.
We had Kathy Fulton on. She was with us last week from Allen, the American Logistics Aid Network, and I know that you've taken a look at
I did. Her interview was really interesting.
Yeah.
She's like a really interesting, and I actually looked into that organization because having worked with like FEMA, Army Corps of Engineers, and all of these like different entities over the years, I had actually never heard of that organization. And I looked into it, and it was something that I was thinking, if we would have had that logistics or been able to coordinate with them post Harvey, Texas had just never been through anything like that before. And I had started my organization in conjunction with FEMA. They had like approached me when I was a journalist. So I was like 24 at the time. I was what felt like a child myself.
You're the same age as Madison.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great. Yeah, so when I was 24, when I was 24, they had approached, FEMA had come to me in 2016 after 400 people in my small community in Wharton, Texas was like impacted by this tax day flood is what we called it. And the community that was impacted the most was the Black community. It was what we called across the railroad tracks. And that community was impacted most because it was a part of redlining and all of those things that had happened back in the day. And so the community was just utterly devastated. But we couldn't get any kind of funding. I had set up this nonprofit, this 501c3, this recovery team, had no prior training on how to do anything, but I was a former grant writer. So they had ended up pulling me and saying, hey, we just need you to set this up. We're going to try and send resources your way. I spent a year writing grants. No one really cared. They were like, whatever, 400 people in a small rural community of like our entire county only has 42,000 people. The city that was impacted only had a population of 9,000. They didn't care about that. They were like, we don't care that this many people were impacted. Their houses were flooded. This is not like that big of a deal. So whenever they had ended up approaching me, the only grants that I received was a $33,000 grant for washers and dryers. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? I ended up getting, like, I wrote it, they delivered the washers and dryers, and this was from the American Red Cross. I had to store them. One, I had to work out the logistics. So I had to call a bunch of truck drivers and be like, will you come? And it's not like I know how to operate a forklift. I didn't have a team of people. I had to find someone who could operate a forklift, which happened to be the mayor of our city.
Of course.
He was like, the mayor of the city that I lived in owned a feed store. He also was a truck driver. He knew how to operate a forklift. He was like, I'll do this for you, Evelyn, and unload these washers and dryers at a church, because that was also one of the only resources. And then, unfortunately, the next year, Hurricane Harvey happened, and we got trapped in what we call a bowl. And y'all are very familiar with this in New Orleans specifically. That same exact thing happened. They sent the Creole Navy to us. You know, they had sent a bunch of people to try and rescue us from outside of this bowl, but the National Guard tried to come in and bring food, but they didn't know how to get through the roads. And so I was saying, logistically, we had local truck drivers and truck drivers who had been coming to this neighborhood, specifically grocers that worked with HEB in their disaster recovery unit. And they ended up finding ways into our small community and bringing food to the American Red Cross shelter that we set up ourselves as community members. And one of the truck drivers ended up picking up, there was this kid on the side of the road that had rode his bike so much to where like the tires had fallen off of the bike, like the rubber.
Yeah.
And by the time he got to the shelter, because a truck driver had like picked him up off of the side of the road as he was like trying to walk his bike, because there was no other way into the community, into the shelter, and picked him up and brought him to the shelter with food and resources. So truck driving has been like a really big part of disaster recovery. And it's one of those things that a gap that needs to be filled whenever you're setting up your nonprofit for disaster recovery and hazard mitigation. You need to like forge these connections with people in your community that know, one, how to drive those trucks, two, how to get food to people post disaster, and three, like know these routes better, back ways that don't flood or because it's the ways in that the National Guard know. You can find those on GPS and maps, but there are roads that people do not know in rural communities that are not on maps.
Rodney Dangerfield told a story about, in one of the lines in the story, he was lost out in the country. He says, "Can you tell me how to get to the American Legion Hall?" He says, "Yeah, you just go down this road for a piece and you turn left where the old schoolhouse used to be." Right?
Yeah.
Everybody lives there knows where the old schoolhouse used to be. And if you don't know that, you can't help it. You're lost. So you've got to depend on the folks you have right there. I mean, people always think about disaster relief and mitigation, about folks from out of town, out of state, coming in to help, which happens, of course, and it's wonderful. But you got to have that core that knows where the old schoolhouse used to be and that you turn left at.
Yes, and this was one of the issues that we had. When people do come in from out of town, it's wonderful. Like, we love it. We love the help. Money is the best thing that you can do, is to send, because when you send too many resources, imagine how
many washers and dryers was that? Do you remember the count on that?
I think it was like, I think it was somewhere around 45 washers and dryers. It was not many. That first year it was a pretty rough year. Yeah. The second year though, like post Harvey, we had so many resources that we had to stop taking donations. We had went from we had to borrow storage facilities from people. We had 18-wheelers coming in, and like I said, I didn't know how to work a forklift. We had 12 board members at this time, and none of, we had a lot of folks that were pastors and religious leaders, and we had realized that, like, if we don't reach out to people who know how to operate this machinery, and we have so many people coming in who needed to go pick up all of these things from other communities, these communities had, what they ended up doing was putting together like beds and truck beds full of resources for our community, food, diapers, whatever you can think of. We had no way to get it to us. We had to, like, once again, call on truck drivers to go pick up those things, or these communities. And they were doing this on their own time and on their own dime.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, I mean, imagine, how much it costs to fill up those trucks. And then you're driving this across the country to try and help out these communities. And what ended up happening was, like, they would bring it there, and then the mayor would come with his forklift, unload it, and then we would have to find ways to distribute it, which was amazing. But we were such a small community, we end up being inundated with so much stuff that we would have to find a truck driver again to take it out of our community to, like, a larger one.
Who also needed stuff.
Yes, who still needed a lot of resources, but we were so inundated with so many different, which is not a bad thing. Like, that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, exactly. An embarrassment of riches.
Yes, and the same thing ended up happening with trash on the street. disposing of the things that we would muck out of the houses. We had this organization called Team Rubicon come into our community, and they're such a lovely, it's kind of like a ex-military. Anyone who had like been in the military anywhere in the world can join Team Rubicon. And what ends up happening post-disaster is they mobilize and they come into your community and they help you like muck out the houses, take out sheetrock, anything that was damaged by the water. And all of that stuff ends up going to the street. Well, it's also really difficult to get all of that stuff off of the street once it's there. So we had, once again, just like truck drivers come in, fill up their trucks with this stuff and haul it to the junkyards. It was just like a really integral part of disaster recovery. And once again, it was just our own community members and community members that knew how to get to rural areas, because rural areas are often forgotten in post-disaster.
Yeah, and I think possibly, you know, you kind of, I was thinking of a little quip. You have to recover from the disaster, and then you have to recover from the recovery. Because all you're doing is moving you're not getting rid of anything. You're just moving it from the bedroom to the curb, so to speak. And now it's a problem. And if you got too much stuff there, then people can't get down the street because of the stuff coming out of the bedroom to the curb. So this Rubik's, this domino effect keeps, popping. You're never done.
No, and it's a logistics nightmare as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And getting onto these streets with these big trucks and knowing which streets can handle these loads and how heavy they are. Like a lot of the truck drivers in our community are mostly hauling groceries or gravel. So like that's like the industry that I was very used to, is like anyone that was coming through here was like either building reservoirs or digging up gravel or hauling those things, or end up bringing groceries into our community. And they were such a big part of helping out post-disaster that I started to think that I ended up keeping like a Rolodex of truck drivers that I could call on after a disaster to help us do all of this stuff, because FEMA doesn't have a Rolodex of truck drivers. The Army Corps of Engineers doesn't have a Rolodex of truck drivers. You know, they've got people who can do the National Guard trucks, but they can only have provisions to do very specific things and not what actual community members need. And so you have to call on your actual community and people who do this commercially, not people who do it for the government, because the government has so many different restrictions on what you can do with their specific resources.
Well, you kind of bring us into another area here too that I want to get into with you, and that is something that we hear a lot about in terms of infrastructure, especially now, and that's public-private partnerships. And you say that that's key to disaster relief. In other words, you know what? I'm not surprised, but I am surprised that FEMA wouldn't have a Rolodex with a bunch of truck drivers' names in it. What's up with that, right?
Yeah, so FEMA, with the odd thing, I was so shocked when I was approached by FEMA as to what I felt like a 24-year-old kid, because and I thought it was odd that they were asking me specifically to start this organization. I knew nothing about this when I started. I knew nothing about.
Get the shortest straw. How did that happen?
Well, I was a journalist at the time, and I was covering a meeting that FEMA had, and they had asked everyone to start up and do something specific with the work that you do. So mass media communications. And so I'd set up a table, and I had ended up organizing the entire meeting because I was also covering it for the newspaper.
Okay.
And FEMA was like, "Oh, you're extremely organized." And I was like, well, because I have to be, and I'm covering this for the newspaper, so I'm counting all the people in the room, and I'm doing all the things that you normally do as a journalist. And one of the women was like, yeah, we're going to need you for this community. And I was like, no, I don't, no, thank you. She hands me this like huge binder. I swear to you, it was like a 6-inch binder. And she was like, you can read this and I need you to start this organization. And I pushed it away from me and I was like, no, thank you. I was like, I can't do that. Like, I don't know.
It almost sounds biblical here.
I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so she hands me all of this stuff, and I had looked into recovery teams, and I had previously had, working with the Boys and Girls Club, written a lot of grants and like worked with nonprofits. So I was like, maybe I can do this. And she was like, well, you're needed, a call to the community. And my beat was at the time the commissioner's court and city council and police blotter. So I was used to being a huge part of the community, but I guess on the back end, like I was a voyeur, I was on the outside looking in. And she was asking me to actively be a part of the community. I didn't know how to do that. So I ended up doing all of this stuff and just realizing that government reaching out to communities to try and fend for themselves, but not really giving them all the resources that they need to do it. And then us having to look at private and commercial ways to get the funding that we need, because the mass majority of the funding that we got was private funding, hospitals, commercialized things. Even like I told you, the mayor of our community who owned a feed store was like one of the largest resources that I had ended up needing. And he was a really good guy and I loved working with him, but he was anti-establishment as well. He was like anti-government, but ended up being like the mayor of our community. It was really interesting. And he's still a good friend of mine. He's like a really nice guy. He's just peculiar in the ways that he would call himself anti-establishment, but was really, really critical when it came to like doing a lot of stuff post-disaster. But like I said, I ended up having to forge those connections in our community in order to even get the resources that we need. And the government wants you to make those connections with privatized industry, but doesn't give you anything that you need in order to make those connections or even tell you how to do that.
Not in their wheelhouse.
No, and I suppose it like they will, I guess in order to get like the large block grants that you need, you have to have like an operating budget of about $500,000 in order to even qualify for those large block grants. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm from a small town. I didn't think that we would ever get an operating budget of $500,000 a year, especially with our first year being $33,000 in washers and dryers. And that's the only thing that we had. But we ended up getting, after Hurricane Harvey, and this is how bad we got hit, we had ended up writing somewhere upwards of $72 million in grants.
Wow.
And infrastructurally, we use those grants, and we had to get special permission.
Which this is like the next year.
Yeah, this is just the next.
So you're 24 years old. They hand you the 6-inch binder and say, here, read this. There will be a test on Monday. By the way, you got the job anyway, so just read it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're doing this, and then in less than a year's time, Harvey hits,
mm-hmm.
and it goes from ground 2 to ground million.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
And it was just you
must have been overwhelmed.
So overwhelmed. I did end up getting like a significant amount of burnout after that, because mind you, this was all, I did not get paid. So this was all done while I was a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a need for like case managers, board members, people who we had to have psychiatrists, any kind of help that we specifically needed. We ended up having a staff of 12 after like I had done like 2 years of labor, and the board members as well, because we had 12 board members, mm-hmm. and everyone was doing like the same amount of work. We were getting
But nobody had any type of experience with anything like this.
None of us. Yeah. And we were all just coming together. And what we had was like specifically what recovery teams do is unmet needs in your community. So you have like a lot of organizations that come in and give people what they need. And what my organization did was cover the unmet needs. So we would have this round table every week we had all of our case managers come in and present cases, and they would go to the table, and there would be like Catholic Charities, Army Corps of Engineers, FEMA would be there as well, United Way, any kind of organization that gives help to communities would sit at the unmet needs table. And the case managers would present these cases and be like, I have someone who needs $8,000 for a roof. Is anyone at this table able to cover this $8,000? And Catholic Charities would be like, yes, we have $8,000. We'll go ahead and cover this roof. So they would write down Catholic Charities. Catholic Charities would cut them a check, and then they would get the roof done for that. So that was like the sole purpose of the organization. But we ended up running into projects that most long-term recovery teams don't do, which was a coordination with the city to do different levee building, right? So like we had a levee that broke in our community. And then we were deficient of a levee, which had ended up being the reason why in 2016 the tax day flood happened. So we needed millions of dollars for these levees. We ended up getting special approval, the levee funded by the Army Corps of Engineers, or the levee was actually funded by FEMA, and then the Army Corps of Engineers built this levee. And that was something that is not possible. They don't really let you cross-pollinate projects from the government. So
Please don't let that happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're like, FEMA was like, we can give you the money, but we can't build it. And the Army Corps of Engineers was like, we can build it, but we don't have the money to do it.
Yeah.
So we had written a letter to President Trump at the time, and we had asked special permission to use both of these entities so that we could actually do this. And he had allowed us to like actually build these levees and utilize this money. And we had ended up so out of the 72 million at the time when I left my organization, only 2.5 was monetarily distributed to the community, and the rest was built in infrastructure. We ended up doing projects with HUD, the housing development, and then we ended up building, I think it was 180 different apartment complexes, because not only did Hurricane Harvey happen, and since we were a long-term recovery team, it wasn't just floods that we covered, it was any major disaster that happened in the area.
Mm-hmm.
So there was an apartment complex that had 80 units that burned down. And you're talking about a community of 9,000 people, so 80 apartment complexes burning down is like, it's a big blow to the community.
Yeah.
And then we also had a hurricane that took, not just a hurricane, but a tornado that took out a row of 10 houses in our so in the same year, in 2017, fire, tornado, and hurricane had just devastated our entire community. And there was just this massive need for building. So we had and luckily I had, we had this wonderful city manager who helped with all of this paperwork. And I worked in conjunction with the city to end up building this infrastructure. We used my organization to do all of this work through, and then ended up working with the city to rebuild this. And I ended up going back home last year because I was working with this organization called Emergency Legal Responders, where they do post-disaster legal services, free legal services for anyone who needs help filling out appeals or claims with FEMA, or anyone who can't understand the legalese in this. And I ended up going back home and taking the organization with me so that they could see the work that I had done back in my home community. And the mayor, I went to his feed store to introduce him to my friends, and they were like, "Your mayor works at a feed store?" And I was like, "Well, he owns a feed store." And I went to the feed store and he wasn't there, and they were like, "Well, he's over at his friend Freddie's shop, and he owns a little a truck shop and a car shop." And he was like, "He's over sitting at Freddie's shop." So I went over to Freddie's shop, and then and I was like, "Hey, I'm here with Emergency Legal Responders." And he was like, "Let's go look at everything that's happened since you've been gone." And so I hopped into his truck. Me and my coworkers hopped into his truck, and he drove us around for about 4 hours, showing us all the development, showing us everything. So since I had left, he said that infrastructurally it had been $132 million is what we had ended up putting back into the community through the organization that I founded. So I left at 72, came back 4 years later, and it was at 132 million.
Awesome. That is awesome. You know, our listeners are mainly on the road or in the trucking industry, so they are certainly familiar with disasters. Many of them have helped, certainly Katrina here in New Orleans. But I don't, and we talked about Kathy with Alan and everything. We've had folks talk about disaster relief and how this works. I don't think anybody has given us that ground level, pull the curtain back, look at what really goes on behind the curtain with this stuff. With a 24-year-old kid running the whole operation in a small town in Texas. I mean, come on, this is an awesome story. It really is.
Still better than Michael Brown. Sorry about that. Sorry. Katrina dies very, very hard around here.
Yeah.
It's really nice to meet you. Thank you for making the time, by the way.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's been great to be here.
Send us to any socials you got. Where should people find out more about you?
Honestly, I just have like my own private social media, Instagram. I mean, you can find me on LinkedIn if you do have any professional questions. It's just Evelyn Carrier on LinkedIn. If you want to find me personally, follow me on Instagram. It's also just Evelyn Carrier. But those organizations that I talked about, if you need free legal advice post-disaster, and this is labor stuff as well, you can follow Emergency Legal Responders, which is a great organization. They give out free legal advice on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, all of those organizations. So
yeah, and a lot of that stuff is very, very helpful. I mean, we are on the just a couple of days away now for the anniversary, 20 years.
I know.
20 years. It seems like forever ago, and yet it seems like it was only yesterday. By the way, thank you for being the last guest on Nemo Nation.
Thank you for having me.
You were a member of the nation before you even arrived on the scene. It's really great. And by the way, what a perfect name for a guest to end the segment with, right, Dave?
Indeed, Evelyn Carrier.
We're going to be back tomorrow, by the way, with another edition of Road Gang Radio. You guys go to RadioNemo.com. Check us out over there. You can hear us live on 365. To all of our good friends who took the full ride with us, Trucker Bosun, Paranormal Pie Man, 10 Ring, all of you guys out there making the miracle happen, going from place to place. And Marshall, as always, good to have you along as well.
And Lisa.
And Lisa, who is probably stepping in to continue to stick around because she always listens to those replays. Don't forget, this replay and many more like it will be available at YouTube over at Radio Nemo. And by the way, tonight is Nemo's Night Beat.
Yes, 7 p.m., RadioNemo.com, iHeartRadio, Alexa, Live 365. Do I got them all?
I think you do.
Yeah.
I mean, people will figure it out. People will figure out enough of it.
And I think you're going to love the story about the race tonight as we celebrate Route 66. Their centennial is next year. We're getting a jump start. 7 o'clock tonight, Central.
Be really awesome. We're going to take off out of here now. It is Nemo Nation. Live on RadioNemo.com, live on 365, live on Odyssey and on iHeart and on YouTube and all of our friends at Facebook as well. Thanks for jumping on. Don't forget Road Gang Radio. Myself, Lindsay Lawler, will be taking you further down the road. Really great lineup. Check our socials and all those great places. We'll be back tomorrow.